T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world. Episode 558, Trap Talk with MJ, the Condro Lounge. Lucas and Chuck collaborating with the Trap Talk Reptile Network tonight. This is going to be one for the books. What is up, man? I'm your boy MJ. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone's having a great week, man. We're approaching the end of the week. So if you had a rough week, don't worry. The end is near for this week, and then we have a whole nother week ahead of us. So let's just kind of like take a deep breath and let's fucking be happy because it's Trap Talk. You know what I mean? You're in a good place. But again, I'm your boy MJ. If this is your first time hanging out, do me a favor. Let's get the likes up, especially if you're into the Chondro game. Keeping or breeding or just simply admiring, get the likes up for all the Chondro lovers out there. And why don't you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, select all. You'll be reminded of every single Trap Talk release out of the network. You can also listen to all these episodes on all the major audio platforms, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. So again, as always, wherever you listen to Trap Talk Reptile Network, thank you so much. Really means a lot. I woke up feeling some type of way today, guys. I mean, listen, we all have our days, right? And I felt like I was just on demon time as soon as I woke up. First it was the ball pythons, which we'll get to that later on tonight. And then I just felt like anything else that's been kind of like slowly eating away at me. Because we all let go of things, right? Like, don't you think a lot of humans go through life just saying, fuck it, shrug it off. But then how long can you just keep shrugging things off for? I felt like today was one of those days where I was ready to fucking just, and I sort of kind of did a little bit just because I've been feeling some type of way about the animals I keep. I talk a lot on this show about, make sure you passionately keep what you want to keep and all this stuff. And am I doing that? I don't know. Listen, I don't want to get into it too much right now, but I feel so much better being here on this show with you guys tonight because you guys make everything better. So shout out to everyone in the building. Shout out to the early birds. All right, you guys in the chats. I see all the support in the chats. I see so many relevant Chondro keepers and breeders and up and comers. So mad love and respect, man. So if you're looking for exclusive content, if you want to support this network more than just watching, if you want to just tap in with some amazing reptile keepers and consider joining the Trap Talk Patreon family. Okay, please come join the family. Click the very first link in the description below. And as soon as you join the Trap Talk Patreon family, you get connected to a Discord and you get connected to an Instagram group chat. It's all love. It's all networking, and it's doing it with the best. So thank you to all my trappers out there, my Patreon family. You guys are my heart. All right. And I just want to say thank you to anyone out there supporting US ARC, doing what you got to do to make sure we keep our animal rights is something that should be a priority. Listen, let's get these numbers up. Go to usarc.org. All right. Legislation's happening right now as we speak. So these numbers do matter. Again, go to usarc.org, become a member as low as $5 a month, okay? And listen, I know financially there's a little bit of rough time going on right now. I respect that. So if you can't afford becoming a member, just talk about it. Especially if you're one of the 100+ reptile podcasts out there, drop that US ARC shout out, please. And shout out to anyone who supports US ARC Florida. Shout out to all my Florida keepers. You guys are beautiful. All right. Very blessed for tonight's sponsors. It's what keeps me rolling. And that's a fact. One of those sponsors being the man, Mark Bailey at Mark Bailey Reptiles. GOAT. I'm telling you right now, one of the best doing it in the ball python game, and he's just about 40 years into the game. It's no joke. This guy's no joke. One of the best doing it for sure. And one of my good friends. Appreciate you so much, Mark. Head over to Morph Market, type in Mark Bailey Reptiles, and give this guy a follow and be ready for all amazing, beautiful ball python heat. Hey, speaking of Morph Market, holy shit. Let's check this out real quick, shall we? Yeah, so listen. Day was like whatever for me, right? But at the end of the day, I was so excited to see this. Who went to morphmarket.com? Raise your hand. I know a lot of you did because I've been getting messages. All right. So what do you guys read right there when you go to Morph Market? What do you read right there? It says, watch us on Trap Talk to learn about Morph Market shipping. So I got to say, dude, this is pretty iconic to have a link to Trap Talk right there on the main page of Morph Market. is so dreamy. So thank you so much, Darian, for putting Trap Talk on the website. I just think, I had to shout that out. I thought that was pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. So, but yeah, listen, Mark Bailey Reptiles on Morph Market. Peep him out. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Gary Scavino, one of the best doing it in the Arboreal game, especially on YouTube. His content is second to none, in my opinion. I look forward to watching it. My son loves watching it. It's just a good time to learn about Arboreal and rare snakes that you could keep in this reptile world. And Gary Scavino is one of the most heaviest veterans we have, who is literally relevant to this day. And I just love what he has to bring to the table, what he's been bringing to the table. So Gary Scavino on YouTube. And guys, if you want to talk about getting your hands on chondros, emerald tree boas, diamond pythons, the specific rare species of snakes, you got to follow this guy. You'll never know what you could possibly get your hands on following Gary Scavino, okay? So again, GS Reptiles on Instagram, GS Reptiles on YouTube. Go subscribe to this man's work. He's one of the best. All right. Also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Blake Exotic Feeders, #1 quail in the game. I'm a believer in quail. Raise your hand if you believe in quail. Woohoo! Raise your hand if you believe in button quail. Woohoo! Telling you right now, button quail, not for a first-time prey item. We'll talk about that tonight as well, okay? I kind of slowly let you guys know about, what the results were. My Patreon members for sure know what the results were about that. But we are going to get down to business on the button quail, okay? I'm a huge believer on button quail and quail being one of the best diverse diets you can implement to a chondro, for sure, okay? I don't know how I feel about the emerald yet. I'll get to that when I cross that bridge. But right now, I'm really focusing on, what quails can do to a digestive system for a chondro, okay? But day by that. So for now, guys, if you are all about that quail and you want to make sure that you're getting quail straight from the source, produced on the property, none of this third-party stuff, none of this China quail, no, straight from the source, all right? That's Blake Exotic Feeders, #1 in the quail game. Go to his Instagram, just hit him up personally and say, hey, I'm coming from the trap, and he'll take extra care of you, okay? Thank you so much, Blake, for your support. Appreciate it. Last but not least, shout out to the Chipper, #1 cocoa substrate in the game. All right, go to cocodoo.com. Whatever your total order is, type in TrapFam24 in the promo codes. You get 24% off the entire shipment. All right, shout out to the Cocoa Dude. Best substrate. I love it. Stuck sheds don't happen. I'm not going to lie, I had a stuck shed recently, but I think no matter how good your humidity is, you're still going to deal with the stuck shed. We'll talk about that tonight as well. I'm so excited, guys. Thursday night. Listen, I got to do what I got to do to keep Thursday nights popping. Thursday night's the main week for Trap Talk, all right? And we all know Thursday nights belong to the trap, but I could only do so much as far as talk about stuff that gets old. Talk about ball pythons, no offense. I already talk about ball pythons a lot on Monday nights, and I do talk about ball pythons at least half the Thursday nights of the month here, right? But, I got something that just keeps me out of bed sometimes in a good way. Chondros. I love chondros. I'm not the only one who obsesses over chondros, okay? My buddy Lucas, who has made quite the name for himself in the retic world, all right, has gotten this chondro bite for, I think it's 2 years now, been talking to chondros with Lucas, all right? Chuck is someone who's been up and coming, like he's been in the game, but now really making noise with the stuff that he's producing, and Chuck is killing it right now, all right? So for you out there who are looking to get into chondros, for you out there in the thick of the chondro game right now and you haven't bred yet and you're about to, this is going to be one of the best episodes that you can listen to, okay? Because you have nothing but the future of the chondro game on one episode tonight. That's right. Lucas is in this for the long run. Chuck is in this for the long run. And you know damn well I'm in this for the long run, okay? So you guys are all in for a treat. Do not be shy with the super chats. If you think tonight's episode is worth any super chats, all right, you have a question, topic, whatever, don't be shy. Drop that shit. Because it's about to go down, man. And I'm feeling some type of way. I might say some... Actually, no. I'm going to behave tonight. I'm going to keep it professional for sure. All right? For sure. You guys think I will? I don't know. We'll find out. Listen, do what you got to do to get your mind right. Do what you got to do to stay hydrated. This is episode 558. Coming at you right now. The Condro Lounge, Trap Talk Reptile Network collaboration. Let's go. Cheers.
Good.
You ready for do more in the future? Trap Talk podcasts?
Yes.
Man.
Only Trap Talk. Exclusive.
Yes.
Exclusive. Oh.
So stop calling us.
Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, God love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the rub the spot, get the club to we do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up, rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up, rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up, rub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up.
And we are live, episode 558. Lucas and pumpkin spice. What the fuck? Dude. What's going on, Chuck? Lucas?
What's going on, man?
What's happening?
My fellas in the building. Good to have you guys here, man.
Good to be back.
Chuck,
Yeah.
how you feeling, buddy?
I feel good.
Yeah?
Took a couple hours early off work, make sure I was all prepared, had everything done at the house.
Listen, it's an honor to have you two here. Really happy with the work you guys have been putting out over at the Condro Lounge. Lucas, for sure, dude, you're living up to the expectations, my man. I know you and I spoke, a few months before you even released your network. How you're really putting a lot of like thought into it, right, Lucas? And this is why at the end of the day, like we can, I love what I do, right? And I don't look at anyone as like, what I'm trying to say is I don't look at you guys as competition, because like how you lay things out is so like thoughtful. And I know that what you're trying to do is the same thing I'm trying to do, is just bring really good, amazing informational content that could relate to any new keeper out there, because that's how this is all going to grow. Right.
Right.
But Lucas, do you think you would have launched that solo? Like, meaning like, I don't know. Do you feel like you would have been comfortable having a chondro podcast talking about chondros by yourself?
No. So, I mean, you and I talked about this, right? We talked a little bit about, the co-host route and the interview route and like everything that I did with like the Retic Lounge when that first started. I got to give you props. I mean, your ability to sit and talk to a camera and hype up for 10 minutes, that's not easy. It's not easy. You've been doing it a long time. It looks good, but I wanted a co-host because the original idea of like doing the Retic Lounge and then spreading out into the network and doing the Condro Lounge is I like the idea of being able to do episodes with just like someone who's always there.
Yeah.
Because the work to get a guest on episodes is it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of thoughtfulness. It takes a lot of planning, and it's nice on just being able to shoot out an episode with just like a co-host. But there was a lot of anxiety with the idea of like talking just to myself, right? And like talking to a camera and then bringing on a guest or doing solo episodes. So no, like when I first started it, there was zero vision of me doing this kind of solo. I really think that it started off with TRL, and I wanted to do a Chondro podcast, and again, just wanted that co-host, wanted someone else involved to grow with, and also to be like taken under.
Lucas, was getting somebody involved as a co-host in like them having experience with chondros important to you? Like, did you feel like that would be a strong suit to have someone on the show with you to actually relate to what you're talking about when it comes to certain topics and stuff like that? Do you feel like that has been a good help for the show? Not a lot of people. So I had an original person that I was going to do the Condro Lounge with, and the Condro Lounge kind of got like cut dead. Like the idea was cut off for about like 4 months. The person that was originally going to do this with me didn't have a lot of experience like me, but they're in vet school, right? So they had a lot of the scientific background, so they still brought something to the table. But when that guy got cut short, I started thinking in my head who I wanted to have as a co-host. That's when I met Chuck. Me and Chuck were kind of talking at Bill's, a year back. And I at that point, when I was looking for someone, I absolutely wanted someone tapped in, but still new. Right. Because I personally believe that you can learn the most from the people that are like just a step or two ahead of you.
right? So Chuck was someone who had just had his first couple clutches, and there's a lot to take in for the veterans in this community, right? But they just have they when you talk to someone who's been doing this for a long time, they breeze over the little minute things that someone new like me into breeding chondros really wants to know. And as you know, Chuck's the most detailed oriented dude out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a very good point, bro, because listen, like I love my co-hosts. I love Marshall. I love Bill. But if it wasn't for me to be so wet behind the ears compared to them, right, I wouldn't have those little micro informational questions that they probably wouldn't even think about asking, because like they're so like OG in the game. You know what I mean? So that right there, I feel like is a really good solid point. Now I know Chuck here, and I want to give Chuck mad flowers because, you did mention that Chuck recently had success, but Chuck's been going at it with this shit for a while.
Oh yeah.
How many years now, Chuck? Like you and I kind of first met 2017 or 2018, right? And
I think it was whatever COVID was. Was it like late 19, early 20? I think 2020.
And I noticed you latched on to Socrates pretty in the beginning. Like you were getting information from like the same best people that I was getting info from, right? And but then you also went through some experiences where you got your ass handed to you. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm still going through it.
It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. I just experienced a new problem the other day, and I had to perform a procedure on an animal to fix it because I messed up.
Can we talk about it?
Yeah, we could talk. I'll always share my my failures and stuff. I was just overloaded that day, and I rushed, made a mistake, and I went to go assist feed a pinky, and the pinky popped, and because of that, the tongs slammed together, and I shot the tongs through the side of the neck of a baby from the inside out.
Right, dude.
Oh, dude, what
like Final Fantasy style shit.
Fuck,
Yeah.
Right through.
The pinky exploded. It was so far down the throat. No, we're good. We're good. It has he
super glued it.
So the pinky popped. I drove the tongs to the side of it. I just about cried. I was like, dude, no way. And it was stuck in its mouth, and it's mush because it exploded.
What was stuck in the mouth? The forceps or
the pinky? So I pushed the remnants of the pinky out the side of the hole in the neck, chlorhexidine it, and I just kind of sat down and I was like, all right. And so I called my vet, and my vet said, glue it. And I weighed the snake today. The snake at 5.5 weeks old is 8 grams. So I performed a procedure on a snake that is 8 grams. I took it, I put it underneath of a 35-foot Stanley tape measure to kind of hold the body. And then I stretched the animal up and over, alcoholed it. I super glued it. And then I hit it with my wife's hair dryer on cool. And I purposely grabbed it after it was done and made sure it was separate from the neck muscles. And the snake is perching, striking at me, acting like it doesn't even know it's hurt.
I'm smiling right now, just FYI, not because this is funny, but because this is Chuck's luck. Like when Chuck finally catches a break, he sends tongs through a chondro's neck.
It wasn't bad luck. It was my fault. I messed up. I knew I should have gave it a rat's tail. I should have gave it a mouse leg. I messed up.
But
many times.
If we talk about the majority other species of snakes you could keep, that's not going to happen. They're not that fragile. But we're talking such a little tiny thing. You want to hear something crazy too? I won't mention the person's name. Good friend of mine. He was over here not too long ago, and I was showing him my chondro babies, and he told me totally by accident. Don't even know how he did this, but he went to assist feed a baby chondro, and he ripped the skin off the back of the neck somehow. And I was like, how the fuck did you do that? And I'm thinking dude, the freakiest shit can happen out of nowhere with the chondros, man. And I know we both heard stories on both our networks from the crazy, you know what I mean? Serious horror story type shit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's acting fine. I just have to wait for the wound to heal, and then I'll start giving it. I'm going to start giving it mouse tails often.
I told
and work
Chuck
up
that
as I see what sort of elasticity we have right there, because the glue obviously wasn't right on it, right? I had to pinch it and almost like lay down like a tack weld and hold it, dry it. And then I laid down a bead a little bit, came over the sides, which I was fine with, but you could see it's just it's like a little football shaped piece of solid super glue, and it's starting to peel off a little bit on the front where it's good skin.
Yeah.
But man, looking at the wound, it's only been 3 days and it looks fantastic. And the
Yeah.
snake I mean, it's perching. If a chondro perches and it's striking at me, you're kind of okay-ish.
And here's a wild thing. I mean, I can't say about any snakes because I haven't kept every snake, but I know retics, and I know Lucas will fucking vouch for this. Retics heal like goddamn German tanks. Chondros definitely heal like fucking monsters. I've said this story before. I have a crazy ass Biak that when I kept her in a Target tub one time, she had one of the lids where I guess she could push on, and she legit ripped her fucking eye. Her eyelid was off. Like the whole top of her eye socket was exposed, and I was like, "What the fuck?" For sure, I thought it was over for this thing, and I gave it a betadine soak and gave it a good sized meal, even though the eye was like that, and I thought the eye was gonna fall out. And then it went into shed, and then once the shed happened, it was like it was okay. Then it turned into like more of a pink like scar, and then the next shed it was just white, like it never happened. And it was like, dude,
Wow,
yeah,
it's insane. It's insane what they can. I mean,
They're resilient.
I don't know if you'd be able to. Do you want me to send you the picture? I have the picture of it fixed.
Oh no. Oh, fixed. Okay, yeah. I don't want to see it with the fucking goddamn
Tongue sticking out.
Starting it.
There's the. You can kind of see. I'll send it to you in the text message.
Send it to me. Yeah, text it to me.
I told Chuck I'd pay for shipping and rehab it.
It's doing good. I'm gonna keep it now. I'm probably gonna keep it now. My dad told me to name it Trump. But my kids name my snake, so it's probably gonna be named like Boo Boo or Band-Aid or something silly.
Are you guys? Would you consider the rubber tongs now? That with the rubber? Like, I mean, what?
Yeah, that's what Pat said. That's what Pat said. Pat said, "Well, maybe not be stupid and not do a pinky again. Maybe do an actual assist prey item that doesn't explode."
Well, hold on. Well, Chuck, here's the thing, bro. I see you tapped into a lot of the episodes on Tuesday nights. Why are you doing a fucking pinky out of all the things you could choose from? Like, you could even done chicken liver or the gizzards or whatever.
I have gizzard slivers in the freezer. I have rat's tails.
Pinky is not the answer, bro.
I said the same thing. I said, "You idiot."
I hate pinkies, bro. I hate them. I hate
the problem is I was sober. I didn't have any beer in me, so I still had the whips and jingles. I'm like, oh, I had to get the shakes out a little bit if I got a couple beers.
Oh my God. Okay, now, Lucas, I know you could really vouch on this topic where I want to get into. We know chondros could be a sensitive animal, and then they could also be pretty hardy, right? But let's kind of talk about the common diet for a chondro, which is rats or mice, right? Lucas, you've been a huge fan of offering quail to your retics and like another prey item, right? And we all know retics could do just fine off huge rats, pigs, whatever. But how important do you think it could be digestive wise, but not only that, like lifespan wise, to implement something lighter than a rat or mice every so often to a chondro? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, the approach that I've taken with my retics, and it's probably going to be the same thing with the chondros, is diversity. And I understand that there's a lot of people, and again, I'm not speaking as a chondro expert. I'm extremely far from that, but I'm just talking about snakes in general.
Right.
So there's this idea that replicating the wild diet, right? And you do want to try to give it some of that nutritional value, but at the end of the day, we have these animals in captivity, and the vast majority of people that are getting into chondros aren't getting wild caught animals as much anymore. They're getting captive breds. And so to say that we need to, replicate the diet from the wild is I don't know. Diversity is a good thing. I've seen it in my retics, and I've seen them thrive. And at the end of the day, coming into the chondro world, that a pinky is like nothing substantial. These animals are literally, they suck the mom's tit, get milk one day, they're frozen, and that's not a lot of nutritional value that the animal is going to take, right? I understand it's what's been working for a long time. And I think one thing that the chondro community really, really does, because of the anxiety around making sure that these animals thrive and survive, is we replicate everything that's been done over the last 30 years, right? the way that we keep them. I mean, even for my, like, I still will jump on the bandwagon of younger snakes, tubs, paper towel. That's it. Don't do more. Don't do more. Right. But when it comes to feeding, we see so many issues with getting babies established and neos established. And then even to juvenile level, we're still force feeding. And so thinking outside the box is important. I mean, I have day old quail that I was feeding off to my 6 to 8 month old chondros. And you know, it's a good little snack, right? If I feed them a rodent 5 to 7 days later, I'll give them a day old quail. Right. And I think that even going into adulthood, because they're not big animals, you're not dealing with quail or chicks that are going to have these massive talons that they have to worry about digesting. And you can always snip them off if you need to, but there's no reason to not put diversity in an animal's diet. And again, I think the natural chondro breeder and keeper, like their natural dispositions to be anxious about these animals. And so like trying to veer off of rats and rodents in general is something that a lot of people don't consider. But I love what you're doing with the geckos. We talked about it day one when you posted it on your Patreon thread. You know, a baby crested gecko, genius, right? Anoles are hard because most of them are wild caught and they'll have parasites or whatever the case may be. Crested geckos, genius, right? Button quail, genius. The moment that I can switch over to button quail, get it away from a milk-loaded rodent. Why?
Yeah,
it's not substantial.
Yeah, and you know, I want to get to this real quick. You know, I you know, me and Patrick had our friendly debate on this show. And he was totally right. No matter how tiny of the button quail you could find as a first time prey item for a baby chondro, it's just way too much. If you were to give it the beak, if you were to give it the feet, you got the wings, and then all that fur. Which, if you look at a button quail, it's heavily furred up, like it's fully fucking coated, right? And I did this smart, even though I didn't want to, but I was like, okay, who's going to be the neonate that I'm going to see if it could take a button quail? All right. And because mind you, luckily I didn't feed all of them button quail. I was like, I just want to see how one will do first. Right. And then of course I made sure I picked one that I wanted to hold back just in case if something totally bad would have happened, even though I'm losing a holdback, at least it's not one that I was considering letting go. You know what I mean? If that made sense, but also risky because I'm doing it to my holdback. But either way, the first, the chondro that took a day old button quail for the first meal, regurgitated it. But it did it like within minutes. Like I looked at it and it was swallowing it. And I came and started doing the podcast. And as I hit the intro, I went to go look and it puked it up. So it was probably down its system for like, or not even maybe down its system, but you know, you could tell when something was regurg, like it's fully slimed up, and it was slimed up from the beak all the way to the feet. So I know that this chondro got it all the way down. You know what I mean? But it came back up. And boy, was I shitting bricks, bro. I mean, I was Chuck, that night I did not sleep. I thought I fucking killed, because you hear so many times that people, if you overfeed a baby chondro, you could easily kill it. Patrick's talked about it numerous times. Other people have had experience. I had a one-off experience where a red neonate, I fed it a bigger prey item than I normally did. And I think it was a rat pink instead of a mice. And then it died. It ended up like rolling. So I was like,
Oh, wow.
I was fucking shitting bricks because I mean, this was the one I just recently posted, spicy feta. That was the one. And I was like, oh man, this is not going to be good. But mind you, I gave it 10 days and then I gave it a good old baby gecko and it fucking murdered it, you know? But then also, let me say this. I went ahead and I thought another approach because mind you, I'm like, when that happened, guys, I was so scared. I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm going back to pinks. I was like, I'm not risking I was so like I got bitched after that. I was like, go to pinks. And so mind you, I had a little bit of success with the pinks. And then of course I ran into some that just didn't want it. So I'm like, all right, here we go. Back to the drawing board. Now you do have baby geckos. And I remember I had a couple that didn't even want the geckos. So I'm like, fuck. And so I had one that was being that way. So I went ahead and got a button quail, the smallest one I could possibly find. Chopped off the feet, chopped off the head, and boy, it was kind of messy. I'm not gonna lie, because it has, the button quail has a bunch of yolk in their gut. So once you cut one side of the leg, I forget what leg it is, either the right or left, but it just pours out.
Oh,
so
shit.
but I took that one that was refusing pinks, the one that was refusing baby gecko, took the torso of a button quail, and I was like, but mind you too, I didn't like how it looked. It was like, you ever feed, you ever heavily feed a snake and it can't really perch? It's just like kind of just hanging. Like
Right.
that was this Neo for 24 hours, dude. And I thought, oh my God, okay, you just got away with murder in a sense, and now you for sure are gonna lose this one. And I didn't. It's okay. It made it, and now I put it on baby geckos on a slim diet for right now. But yeah, I will say comfortably the button quail could come, I would say, after like 10 meals. I think 10 meals and you're good. 10 meals and you could easily go to button quail. I really feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So
I just think it's more substantial, but
I think they eat a lot of. I think they're very opportunistic feeders in the wild. Therefore,
Right.
I think that they're just built to eat pretty much anything that comes in front of their face. I mean, they've been documented eating insects.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that somebody at some point in the near future is going to figure out what insect that they're going to start feeding to these things. I think that someone's going to feed them, whether it be a Goliath worm, a super worm,
mealworm or
whatever.
something. Yeah.
It has a little bit more. I think it has a little bit more consistency to it than a pinky. Pinky's just goo. That's my personal opinion. Is I think that's one of the things that will cause prolapses. Is there's just watery poops, just seeing their cloaca basically inverting.
So another reason, fellas, why I get so like hyped up off the what's going on behind you there? Is that
Friggin' commercial?
okay.
I have my logo as a YouTube video, so
just want to make sure it's appropriate. No, but okay. One of the biggest reasons why I got on this big like gun ho about diversity in diets for a baby chondro was because the way they were shitting. And I remember seeing the baby chondro digest a button quail, and it was such a complete solid shit. And I'm like, all right, like that's a lot better than I see some of this pinky shit that's smeared everywhere. So right away, I thought the digestive system has to like a button quail or whatever's in that button quail a lot more than a fucking pink, right? But I also think this, though. I think what you said, Chuck, at the end of the day, if this chondro is in the right state of mind, it'll almost take anything that's in front of its face. Okay. But you have to get it there mentally first. That's why you see a lot of people have success. Like the thing about Marshall and his albino, right? He didn't get the albino in as smooth as it could, but he came in and he had to assist feed it. But as soon as he assist feeded a rat tail, it understood it needs to eat and it just turned on. But it's just not as easy for all of them, man. Like it's so case by case. That's why it's like you think you got things figured out off one scenario, and it's bullshit. You can't. You don't have it figured out. And I'm sure Patrick, and I know Patrick, like friendly way was laughing when I called him like, "Yo, it regurged." You know what I mean? Because he's like, "Motherfucker, yeah." You know what I mean? But listen. At least I tried. At least, and same with you. Like even though, and I appreciate you sharing that story with the fucking in the neck. You know what I mean? Because
stabbing his chondro.
Yeah, because as much as it sucks to talk about, like, bro, like people need to realize like how shit could go south in any point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
I feel like sharing those stories and not, always showing the highlight reel. If I can share my mess up and how I fixed it, maybe 2 or 3 people from the show in the future will say, I will never assist feed a pinky. And maybe, we don't have people killing their own green trees because they saw, and heard how I screwed up, and back to the prey items, as far as the pinkies are concerned, baby chondros are not finding nests of mice that are a day old and eating them. I firmly believe that there's something to either fully mature prey items, no matter the species, size, whatever. They've been documented eating bugs in the wild. They're probably mature bugs. I think their primary prey source is the native skinks in Northern Australia and Papua. And they're most likely adult mature animals. And the best poops that we're seeing coming out of the neonates are parts of mature animals, rats' tails, chicken gizzards. They're all coming from animals that are now mature and have some sort of developed organs and bone. Whether or not you're feeding that to that animal, you're not getting bone in a chicken gizzard. But I just feel like a pinky is probably the most convenient prey source because it's the cheapest, most readily available.
Yeah.
So I just think there's something to it. I even had like this crazy idea of, I noticed that, people talk about that once they have fur on them, the rodents, the prey items, it greatly reduces the possibility of having a prolapse. What if I rolled a pinky in rat fur? Like, is there something to the fur to hold that poop together so it's not liquid anymore? Maybe it's just kind of clumpy.
I
Like
mean,
like silly things. I don't know. I just think in theory. That's all.
what I've done this round, as far as offering the ones like I told you, when I went to Pinks to see what would take Pinks, I made sure these Pinks were fucking heavily scented, like they were covered in fur. Like I have a bag full of button Quail chick down that I have in a bag, and I'm not modest with that. I'm not shy with it, bro. Like that thing looks like a goddamn little fucking stuffed animal when I'm done with it, And I just and mind you, because I feel like that has to be some sort of nutrient at some point, right? Like if you even notice when you plug some of it off, it kind of even takes the skin with it sometimes. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Do you keep it frozen?
No.
So if you have the chunks of fur and the chunks of meat,
No, I don't have the meat in it. No, I'm sorry. The ones that have the meat in it are not in the bag. Like that's one of the fresh pulls. You know what I mean? Like if I'm freshly pulling it, the ones in the bag, because I know they could ruin it. Like it could what is it called?
it's salmonella.
Yes,
salmonella from the flesh rotting bacteria growth can kill them.
and that could legit kill your animal for sure.
Yeah. I keep my chick down frozen until I go upstairs, and it's just a little deli cup full of fluff, and I just carry it upstairs when I go to feed.
Yeah. All right. So Lucas, I want to go to you, man. You're definitely the greenest chondro keeper on this episode right now. But I know you've learned a lot, definitely within the last, ever since starting the, ever since you getting interest in the chondro game, because you were asking questions, you're talking to some of the best people doing it. But what have you learned, man? Let's kind of talk about like what it's been like so far for you coming into the chondro game after you kind of getting your feet wet with other species. Like what kind of give us some feedback so far?
Yeah. So my interest for chondros probably started back in like 2012, right? And I say this a lot, like it's the snake that got away, right? It just like the fear of like, them dying, right? Because of what everyone was saying, back in 2012, and a lot of people just generalizing like their stories with imports in regards to how difficult they are to keep. But they've been my favorite species of snake my whole life. So yeah, I mean, I was on the forums looking at things before there was a big Facebook group, then got on the Facebook groups and was just constantly following and looking and liking and reading posts. And I'm the weirdo that when I have a question about their husbandry or their care, I go on Facebook on the forums and I hit the search bar and I type in keywords to try to find that question, right? And then Bill kind of finally... I went over to Bill's, I saw his collection in person, and said, you know what, I'm just going to pull the trigger. Kept it simple, right? KISS method. And, now that I'm here and I've been keeping them, a little over a year, they are, way easier to keep than I ever imagined. And I think, maybe it's because I kept retics, and retics are, they're a large constrictor that's a missile that like shoots out and likes to try to kill you thinking it's food. But at the end of the day, I think that the important thing is just understanding how pythons work, right? So husbandry is husbandry, understanding python habitats, like just getting a lot of information about them. I think that if you venture outside of like a very simple species like a ball python, I think if you keep even a boa or you keep a retic or Australian python species, I think if you're able to understand how pythons work, all you have to do is just adapt the changes in their environment for what they need. But at the end of the day, like chondros are so simple. I'm not talking about the breeding, incubation, and establishing aspect. I'm talking strictly with my experience, which is just husbandry and them thriving in captivity, right? From a pet perspective. If you keep it simple, those snakes are so simple to keep.
But let's define the word simple, because what's not simple is getting to the point of it being simple, right? Because first and foremost, you got to have the right environment, okay? Because you could get away with, I'm not saying people can't have chondros in their living room and stuff like that, but understand that it might take a little bit longer for chondro to kind of get more comfortable being in a place where traffic's going back and forth, right? But you could totally do it, right? But everything that gets to the point of being simple takes a little bit of time, and you have to understand what's best. Like one of the biggest things people do right off the bat, right? is they cook their chondros. Like they are way too hot. Like, you know, excuse me, mainly people who are like, you know, let's talk about somebody who works with one species. They're hearing about chondros. They're at a show and they see an import and they go, fuck it, I want to buy that, right? Without even even reaching out to nobody. They just buy it. They put it in a tub or they put it in a fucking Exoterra with a lamp and they just cook the shit out of it. Right. And then what's their experience? From what I know, if your chondro is constantly pissed off, it's because you're constantly fucking cooking the thing. Okay. Because after a while, once they actually hit a body temperature they're comfortable with, yeah, you're going to have the food aggressive ones. Yeah, you're going to have the one-off just psychotic ones that just are psychotic. But for the most part, they're fucking awesome. They're chill. You go to Bill Stiegel's house, Bill can legit almost, I believe, every single animal, he could just reach in and just take them right off the perch if he wants to. I could probably do that to like 10 out of my 40. But I'm just saying, like, you know, there comes a place, like exactly like you're saying, Lucas, what it is with the chondros is so pure bliss. Like, it's like an easy and enjoyment animal to keep. But the thing is, it's easy to fuck up first and foremost, right? Let's talk about a room that's not like fully temperature controlled. Like, let's just say you're not home, you're out doing something or whatever, and then your house spikes up to 100 degrees. Like, that's the type of shit that could easily crash a chondro. You know what I mean? So as easy as it is and simple to keep a chondro, it's easy to fucking ruin, right, Chuck? Would you agree to that?
Yeah, it's it's like a firecracker on wet pavement. It's all it is. You're 100% right, MJ, when you're saying that it takes a while to get it to be easy.
Yeah,
because everybody that is a successful breeder is doing it in completely different parts of the world.
Yeah.
We all have different barometric pressures. We have that, which is a huge influencer, in my personal opinion, on animal movement. And I think it does attribute to breeding behavior as well, because lower barometric pressure would, you know, basically be a rainstorm coming in. So you got different barometric pressures. You have different relative humidities in the environment that they're living, whether it be Switzerland or Italy or United States, different parts of the US, different rooms that are influenced by seasonal changes outside, circadian rhythm with, you know, I'm downstairs here. I have one tiny window that has a dark curtain. They don't get any normal ambient light naturally. So these lights are actually, they're reversed. So the circadian rhythm of these snakes is their night is day and their day is night. I hang out here at night. This is my bar. This is where I have company over. So at night, this is their day. When upstairs, everyone's blacked out. Now, during the day, when we're not necessarily home, this is pitch black down here. The light doesn't penetrate it. You can't see your hand in front of your face when you're walking through if you don't have lights on. So that's their nighttime. You know, I had the occasional day, you know, party during Thanksgiving or whatever, where it's messed up, but these animals are just grow outs. These are, you know, getting close to breeding age. So I'm not really doing anything breeding wise. I did before with my first clutch, and I just covered it with a towel.
And I mean, I would even say, you know, MJ, you were talking about like it takes a while to get to a place where it becomes easy. Chuck was saying that as well.
I do want to say while it can range, like I'm just saying it doesn't happen overnight. Like it's not something where, oh, cool, you figured it out. Now you could just go on a vacation. Like, no, it's not. It doesn't work like that.
No, yeah,
no. And I mean, what I was going to say is that, and again, this is outside of breeding, right? Because breeding is something that like it's definitely a trial and error from the get-go, and it's not easy at first. And if it is easy for some at first, like we've had some people come on our show that first season, boom, 3 clutches, right? But at the end of the day, there's going to be that season that doesn't go right. But I guess, you know, it doesn't happen overnight. And for me, you know, I'm spoiled, right? I got my garage that is completely temperature and humidity regulated with a humidifier, dehumidifier, and it's temperature controlled with no external heat. And
wait, Lucas, what humidifier do you use again? Is it the one that we talked, the Air Care? Is that what you use?
I used to, but getting to like replace the filters, it was a pain in the ass. And so
what do you use now?
I'll send you the link. It's kind of pricey. It's like a $500 humidifier that's on Amazon, and the filters on it are they're washable. So basically,
thank God, I'm down for that.
Yeah, they're washable, but it functions the same. But fortunately for me, I've been keeping a species that lives in the same area, for 6 years. And my garage was basically plug and play Indonesia, right? So sticking them into my garage, not having to worry about even heat tape or, it's, I guess for me, again, a little spoiled. It was just easy to just put them in there, and they're in their native habitat almost.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't even realize how spoiled I was, meaning like I was overdoing it. Like, and that's because, and don't take this lightly because I've heard this. I know you guys have too, like people moving collections, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, that could reset everything for a long time, mind you, because you don't really know, even though if this place is only 6 minutes from my old house, okay? But it's in a completely different designed room, okay? The way I was doing things at my old house, I thought I had to do the exact same thing, but in a sense, like the way this room gets warm, the way it does things, the way my ambient weather could do to this room, I don't need to have hardly any heat. There's no point. There's no reason for it. And mind you, if you could go with less heat, that's a safer bet, don't you think? Like, dude, let's think about the risks that's not involved when you just kill these fucking panels off. And dude, for a whole year, I was running these goddamn panels on a wall of 16 enclosures that was just basically cooking everything. And that's why I got my ass handed to me the first part of the year. I got back-to-back slug out clutches. And then, I got my ass fucking rang with the emeralds, and I think that all had to do with how much my heat was fucked up in this room.
Yeah. If you have in my opinion, with most python species, if you have a mature male, right? Because the chances of you having an infertile male is not very common.
Not likely.
So,
no, not.
So if you have a mature male, right, you're not trying to breed a male that's super young. If you have a mature male and your female either slugs out or produces pearly white eggs that don't go the distance and die out, it's typically heat is your issue.
Yep.
Human error.
Yeah, human err. Exactly.
Human error. The snakes want to breed. And get ahead, MJ.
I was just gonna say, shout out to Mark Bailey, one of tonight's sponsors. But I remember showing Mark Bailey my slugged out clutches, and he's like, "Bro, like that snake did its job. Like that female, like she did a good job giving you those slugs because she's working with the conditions you're giving her. Like that's like something's not right. Like the fact, think about." Like, one thing why the chondros are number one at this point, because with the emeralds, if something goes wrong,
they
bro,
die.
It not only does the litter or the babies go south, but the actual female. And mind you, I could deal with the slug out clutch as long as my female's still here. If my female's still here, dude, I'm okay. Thank God. But once that female is removed from the fucking game plan, that's where it stings and it really hurts, right? But you got to pay attention to all this shit. Like a lot of people look at slugged out clutches and go, oh yeah, the female gave me slugs. Yeah, this female. No, motherfucker, it's you. Hello. You know what I mean? Mind you, that can't be all the cases. Females, just like every other human or whatever that gives birth, like things could have complications. But if you are repeatedly having slugs or if you see a pattern, dude, you got to tap into your husbandry. I'm telling you right now. And don't wait.
Here's what it takes. In my personal opinion, it takes binge watching podcasts on YouTube, and you need to reach out to someone who knows what they're doing because the breeding a green tree python,
act like you've been there, Chuck,
successfully is like walking into a warehouse and there's parts for a car everywhere. There's a million different tools. There's a million different parts. Every single person that walks in there is capable of building a car, but none of those cars are going to be exactly the same. You go back to all the different atmospheric and, environmental variables, which are what you have to deal with. And then you have different enclosures. I have bred in PVC enclosures. I have bred in Cambros. People use heat panels. People use ambient. Some people use heat panels and they don't do night job year round, and they only cycle their animals during the seasonal changes because their room changes. Other people like me, I have a window unit. My room is 70 to 71 year round. I don't cycle my animals. I have night drop year round. My animals develop egg follicles multiple times a year. I have had ovulations. All three of my ovulations were all different months of the year, and they were all different seasons, or 3 different seasons. But I have it figured. I'm figuring it out. I think I'm about 75% figured out of what I need Lucas has a wall to climb, and he doesn't know if he's going to use a rope, a ladder, climbing spikes, a helicopter. He has no idea how his animals individually, because they are all different, are going to react to all of those things combined together. So your first couple of years, you're probably going to stub your toe a couple of times, but eventually you're going to learn how to climb the steps a little bit more and a little bit more. And then you can run up the steps, and then you're running on flat ground, and then you're just rocking and rolling like a Bill Stiegel, like Patrick, like Socrates. I guarantee you, every single one of those men, I know them well, will tell you, I have killed a lot of green tree pythons by getting to where I'm at to not kill the ones that I'm making now. And that's just how it happens. They're not easy. There's a reason why there's 100 of them on Morph Market and there's 36,000 ball pythons on Morph Market, because not everybody can do it. And it takes grit, and it takes longevity, and you have to think. It's not just put two snakes together and they give you eggs. It's because if you do that, you have had years of building up to being able to do that, like you said, MJ. And that's what it really is. It's a set it and forget it kind of animal, but setting it takes you a long time to figure out if you're tuned into it and you want to do it correctly.
Yeah, man. And and if you're not obsessing over it, you're not going to find these tools. You're not going to find the right kind of thing that you need. And that's why it's kind of, oh man, like at the end of the day, like here's the thing, guys, like what if you had to build a certain car, but then you had 3 warehouses, Chuck, and only one of those warehouses had the exact parts for that fucking car you wanted to get in, right? But then you keep going into the wrong fucking warehouse and you're getting the wrong parts, wrong information that's only making your life harder. Do you know where I'm going at with this?
Too many chefs in the kitchen.
Right. But then too many fucking chefs who've never even cooked before in their life, but they're telling you how to cook a steak and they don't even have a kitchen in their house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And listen, I feel like the outreach that we need to do as far as reptile keepers is important. We got to get the outsiders coming in, right? But what good are we doing outsiders painting a picture, making it seem like you are a chondro breeder when you're fucking not? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't give any opinions if you've never don't give any opinions about how to cook a steak if you've never been burnt before. That's just my opinion.
And this is why I have a thing with ball python people right now. I'm not gonna lie, because that's the majority of people transitioning. And yeah, it is a lot my fault. I'll admit it is. This channel has brought so many ball python people, but mind you, ball python people think everything's fucking easy. Not everyone, but ball python people think it's that fucking easy to breed chondros. You know why? Because I'm talking to them. And, I try to keep my mouth shut, but some of these motherfuckers are so cocky. And I'm like, holy shit. It's almost watching a disaster ready to happen. You know what I mean? But mind you, you're going to fucking find out for sure.
They'll learn.
Yeah. It's, I think that one of the biggest disservice that somebody could do to themselves if their ultimate goal is to breed green tree python is to breed another snake before that. Because I think will get bad habits, and the habits that worked for a species before that was a little bit easier will not work for green trees. And my personal opinion is I think anybody can breed a green tree python. They can breed green tree python successfully. Anyone can do it. However, not everyone is built for it, because it's not, hey, I'm going to put these snakes together and then I'm going to put them in the incubator. It's, I have to watch them every step of the way. And it's like walking with a full glass of water across the room. All you got to do is step on one Lego and you're dropping that whole glass, bro. It's over in a second. You can fuck it up in a second.
So let's talk about this, right? Because we all know, just like anything else, you want success in breeding, you better have numbers. Like, numbers need to be on your side, because you're going to just run into some things that don't work out. How easy is it, guys? And this could go for any species, even though I feel like retics, ball pythons could get away with it a lot more as far as overfeeding goes and still being able to breed. But what the fuck you think is going to happen if you are slamming the fuck out of your female chondro the whole 4 years before breeding, and then you try to breed that thing? I think a lot of veterans will come to the forefront and will tell you what happens when you try to breed a fat fucking chondro. Okay, 2 things. Yes. It's either not going to breed or it's going to give you really shitty results. Okay.
Or I mean, another option is you get it to breed, it has 2 or 3 clutches, and it dies at 8 years old.
That's like best case scenario. Like that's best case scenario. That's the retic world right there. But what I'm saying is, like, if you don't even know how to properly feed a certain species that you're keeping, breeding's not even a question. Like, you know, we think a lot about certain species that have not been bred yet in captivity too often, right? Bolins, Moluccans, right? Don't you think the food intake has something to do with it somewhere, right? You either got someone who's just overly feeding a fucking scrub where it doesn't produce, and I think Brandon Wheeler would talk about that. Brandon Wheeler is a true believer that maybe some of the prey items he's been feeding his fucking scrubs in the beginning were maybe a little bit too large, because that was the mindset. Fucking feed it to breed it. You know what I'm saying? But you're with the chondros, you don't get away with it like that. But that's why I love it. That's another reason why I'm obsessed over such a project or a species in the game, because this just isn't like, it's simple, right? As we say, but there are certain parts of keeping chondros or even breeding chondros that aren't so simple. But then you do have simple times. It comes and it goes. Like, you talk about that ladder that you're finally climbing, Chuck. How many times that ladder get kicked on from underneath you? How many times are you like, hey, I'm at the top? No, you're not, motherfucker. And they just fucking, then boom, you hit your fucking face on the floor, bro.
And then they stab you in the neck with a pair of feeding tongs.
Too soon. I'm sorry, but that was too soon.
But the way I look at it is, if I had it, it's like humans, right? You could have a woman who goes to the doctor and says, I want to have a baby. She's 5'5", 130 pounds, solid, you know, works out. She's going to be a perfect candidate. But then you have a 5'5" female that's 350, 400 pounds. She is now going to be put in the high risk category. That's because she's unhealthy. And I don't mean to insult anybody if I said that, but it's the truth. Overweight human beings are high risk pregnancies.
Yeah.
So what do you think that's going to do to a snake? The snake is going to be the same length pretty much no matter what. You're building it sideways, and the fat deposits or whatever, it's not going to be a healthy pregnancy for that animal.
I want the record to reflect I am pro for big women having babies. I'm not like Chuck, so if you're
no, I didn't say that. I just said they're high risk. I just said that they need love too. I love you too. I love the big girls.
Listen,
I love everybody. I love everyone.
Everyone deserves babies.
oh, we're so fucked.
You deserve it, baby. It's just high risk. That's all. I was making a reference. It's terrible fucking reference. Now I'm gonna get canceled.
Guy, if you want, okay, I'm gonna rally on what Chuck just said. Let's be real. After being a father, and you guys are all fathers, right? You know damn well you've seen some fucking parents out there that should not be parents. Let's be real. You've seen some scenarios out there where you're like, why? How the fuck do you have a kid? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that just kind of relates to even people with chondros, animals, period. I mean, how many times, Lucas, if we have to cook people on our network because how poor of a fucking keeper they are, where it's making us look like shit. You know what I'm saying? So
and then we get blamed for drama, right?
Yeah, right. Fucking yeah. Anyways, no, but listen, I just feel, and mind you too, man, a lot of the whole feeding thing, like we talk about Greg Maxwell, the fucking OG who wrote the book, bro. He fed medium rats back in the day to his chondros only because who else was doing it? Like, who else is figuring shit out? And I just feel like a lot of the feeding habits to this day are just like OG patterns from shit that just people did from way back in the day. And also, it's easy to have rats on deck. It's easy to have certain prey items to just feed, right? We all have those snakes that are garbage disposals, right? Chondro is not a garbage disposal whatsoever. Okay, like you got to find it the proper meal that is comfortable feeding it in your eyes, but then that's it. You don't overfeed a chondro at all. You don't.
I give it to them heavy during when they're asking for it. So like when I'm breeding, dude, let's
talk about it, Chuck. What do you do?
So the last clutch I just had with a 21 good eggs, 19 babies I have in the rack. I have the feeding records. I'll show you. It's either 3 or 4 weeks in a row. I think it was 4 weeks in a row. I gave my female regularly eats a medium rat every 3 weeks. She's a big girl. I gave her a medium rat every single week for 4 weeks in a row leading up.
Oh my God, Chuck.
She's a monster and she's good to go.
Well, of course she's good to go.
And the previous clutch she had was 13 good eggs, and then she had 21 good eggs the following clutch.
So is that going to be something you do with all your females, or I'm confused?
When they ask for it, I give it to them.
So I want to
every single. I go from 3 weeks to 2 weeks to 10 days to 7 days, and I slam them, let
I'm
them.
sorry,
Hold on.
hey, Chuck,
Hear
that's
me out.
wild, bro. That's wild.
Hear
Only
me
for
out real
like
quick.
only for like a few weeks. It's
I don't
not
care.
like
I
the
don't
whole-
care if it's
MJ.
dude. A medium once a week is fucking wild, bro.
Yeah,
MJ,
she's a big
MJ.
girl.
Hear me out. I want you to highlight Ryan Young's comment right now because I was just about to say this. There's two big issues that are constantly happening in the Python community. Pythons in general, we're keeping them too hot and we're overfeeding them, right? And I was going to say this because it comes back from keeping retics, right? And at the end of the day, I don't care who you are. When you see your snake eat and you see your snake grow, it hits that dopaminic reaction in your brain and it makes you feel good. You think you're doing something good. And so feeding for a lot of people ends up becoming this joyful thing that we enjoy seeing them do. And we typically overdo it. I think all of us at some point who are going to be keeping snakes, if you've kept them for 5 years or 10 or 15 or 20, you're probably going to overfeed your snakes at least once. And if anybody here is saying, no, I won't, you're lying. Shut up. You're like that is going to happen. And at the end of the day, and I'm not saying like what Chuck is doing is incorrect because again, it's working for him. But at the end of the day, if we're talking specifically about chondros, you look at all the studies of chondros in the wild and you look at their weight collected in the wild, and then you look at the average female weight in captivity, it's nearly double every single time. We have massive animals. You do not, you're very rarely going to see you will in the wild, right? But if you look at all the studies of field collected chondros and their weights, they are half, if not a third of the size that they are in captivity, and they're producing. So, and again, we can't treat these animals like they're in the wild, right? They're in captivity, but I do think that there is a lot to be said about our fulfillment that comes from feeding these animals that leads to overfed snakes.
Chuck, let's paint a scenario, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say one of the snake gods come down and you're like tripping out. You're like, oh my God, it's a snake god. And he's like, Chuck, I'm going to tell you something right now. And nobody really knows this. I'm going to give you inside information, something that you might want to know. You know what? If you continue to feed this female and get the 20-something eggs, you will have those results. But she'll be dead in like 5-6 years. But if you feed her smaller meals, you may only get maybe 15 to 12 eggs, but she's going to live twice the life. What would you do? I'm not saying that's for sure it, but what if it was? What would you do?
I would definitely do what's within the best interest of the health of my female for sure. But like I said, I only do it because she's asking for it. Like they're like hunting like crazy. And I just checked. Those are
chondros. That's what they do. They're
one of those meals was a small rat. But yes, she's a big girl and she knew what she wanted, and she had a lot of eggs in her, or a lot of follicles that were, and she needed it. So when they're day hunting and I'm walking in the room and their nose is just at the glass and I peer in there, I'm like, all right, that last meal's gone, and they're defecating more regularly. You know what I mean? Like with night drop year round, they do defecate a lot more regularly than animals that are kept at a constant hot spot. I don't know if anyone else can speak on that or confirm that, but that's what I've noticed.
What's that hot spot?
83 to 85. It's probably like really 84. I try to keep it at 84, but obviously you can't be within the 1 degree.
So Chuck, I mean, I know you and I are pretty much on the same, like we've been keeping chondros around the same time. I mean, dude, every time I feed my chondros big meals before for sure, and they still want another meal. That's how they're all like that, bro. They all want to keep eating. They all are like
when you open the cage, but when you walk in the room or she's daytime and her face is hanging down and you come in and she picks her head up and I know something's happened, she starts to swell up a little bit and the male's acting differently. I think it's her getting ready to go off feed for so long.
So you're observing a behavior in times of breeding season, and you're throwing her more, and if you understand what it takes to build follicles and everything, but I mean, it's
extremely temporary. And was it over the top? It probably was. She probably didn't need that, but I mean, maybe my medium. I think MJ, we've talked about it before. Maybe my medium rats were smaller than yours because they're not gigantic. I can get a gram weight on them, but I've dealt with, I've ordered from a couple different online sites, and then I had a local guy too. And the local guy, there's a range.
Wait, you've done Cold Blooded Cafe, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're sponsored by Cold Blooded.
Okay, so that medium, I've had Cold Blooded Cafe mediums. Are they that? Are they those mediums?
I don't have
big fucking mediums. Just so you know.
No, I will say that Cold Blooded smalls are the same size as the mediums that I was feeding my female during this last clutch that I got from a local guy, and he asked me what the range weight I wanted. He would give me within 5 grams, but there's like a 50-gram range of a medium, and I always pick the smaller sized medium. So maybe I've never done, I don't weigh my prey items. So
my mediums are pretty big. Like that's probably why I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, but mind you, they like once you get to those sizes, they range big time. They really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think a medium on Cold Blooded Cafe is 150-gram range.
They're big. They're fucking big.
That's a big range.
Yeah. So the smalls that the smalls that I have, I didn't get any small rats from Cold Blooded Cafe, but when I went to Big Cheese, those smalls were pretty like indecipherable from the mediums I was getting from my local guy. But I've never like had a side to side or a weight. It could have been the way they were frozen. Sometimes when they're frozen, they sit weird. They look a little bit flatter and bigger. But my guy just kind of dropped off the face of the planet. He got overloaded with trying to build up a ball python collection and breeding, and then he just like stopped because he was too busy apparently. So
no, but Chuck, let's be real. Like, I mean, you had great success, and I want to give you flowers on that, because the most recent one that you had, was it the pure monocory? What was it? It was
the Maniacs were the ones that the red ones I had, the mixed clutch where it was majority reds, was March 1st they hatched out, and then I think the other ones hatched out September 14th, and that was
the bigger clutch, right? The September one,
yeah, the all yellows. They were Manicoria Ruse.
And dude, I mean, listen, I think the biggest clutch I've ever had was 16, and no, not all 16 went. I recently finally got 14 to go, but man, 20s, bro, I'm 19. That's a lot of eggs. So I would feel happy with that result, but like, do you feel like you're going to roll this out to the next one? Like, meaning, like, do you feel like this is something you're going to continue the whole, like, feed them every week if once it's necessary? And it's okay. It's okay if that's the case. I'm curious. Like,
yeah. So I did that. The clutch prior with the Biak female, and she, last time I had weighed her, I had just estimated she was about 500 grams. She was tiny. The male was bigger than her, and at 500 grams, the local guy that I was getting them off of, she ate like 3 or 4 weeks in a row a small rat. Bam, 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 just kept on. But it's only, I don't go beyond like that 4-week mark. Like, I think that's like that sweet spot right before she's getting ready to go off feed. Or if I fed, a smaller prey item, it may have taken longer for her to go, because I think she's just building up the fat reserves, and then her body just tells her, okay, that's enough. Like, we're ready to go off feed now, and then we're ready to ovulate, and we're ready to sit on eggs, whatever.
Question, Chuck, during this time where they're like, where you're like, okay, shit, they want to eat, is this after they're getting some locks, or is this before all the locks?
This is like during introduction. So they're locking and she's building, and there's an explosion of more frequent locks and stuff. Yeah. And then she's on the cold side, and then she's just constantly hunting. And that's when I'm pulling him more often and feeding her.
Yeah. I'm, so I have a pair that's been paired up, and I'm feeding her every 10 days right now, a little frequent, but fuck, the male won't leave her alone. So every time I try to go in there to separate, he's like locking her. And so, yeah, this fool needs to stop being a horn dog so I could feed this chick, man. She needs to eat. But no, listen, like, we could all agree, since we do run a Chondro podcast on a weekly basis. You guys are weekly, right? Every week?
Every other.
Every other.
Okay. That you guys know that there's a million ways to do this. Like,
that's the worst part about getting into this new.
It is terrible, right? Because
it's the worst part.
Bro, we have brought the same guest on, right? But I even heard some of the guests say different information on different shows before. And I'm like, that's not what you said on my show. You know what I mean?
I took notes.
I will say it's not, I'm not chiseling this into stone. I've done a lot of things and changed a lot of things as I see necessary. Like, I've done a lot of things in the past that I've said on podcasts, and I've kind of like, drifted away from that sort of like treatment for an RI or, husbandry or purchase, whatever it may be. It's ever evolving. So I will say anything I've said on a podcast before wasn't a lie. However, I definitely will not say that's the only way I'll do it, because I said I would never feed babies before a shed. And I have babies right now that are 5.5 weeks old that still have not shed.
What?
And I called Ryan Young and I was like, yo, bro, I got like 8 of them that haven't shed, and they're like almost a month old. Like, what do I do?
Are they eating? Are they eating?
They are now, because Ryan told me he waits weeks after their first shed to feed them. And I was going to do that. And rather than me just, oh yeah, that's what I'll do, I just started thinking more. I'm like, that doesn't seem right to me. And I called Ryan. Ryan was like, no, if they're not at getting to shed, feed them so that they get them to shed.
Yeah,
So I was completely against that, because I'm like, that makes bad feeders. I'll never do that. Well, guess what?
Scenario, man. You got it's
now.
All case. Yep.
Yeah. So one thing I will say is one thing I've said in the past was I will only do it this certain way because it works for me, or I think that's the best way. And no, like, every single clutch and every single animal will make you do something different, and you have to evolve. If you don't change your shit, you are going to fail if you try to be hard-headed.
I bet that you can tell when those hatchlings are going to shed if you take your X-ray temp gun at it, and you'll be able to tell.
I knew I wasn't going to get through this without you talking about my gun.
The gun says opaque.
Exactly.
Hey, okay, time out. What's the deal with this temp gun everyone's talking about? They said it's like the Rolls Royce of temp guns. What the fuck?
No, he literally can see you butt naked. Like if he pointed,
I see through walls. Well, not see through walls, but I can read temperature. Like, I've picked up like leaks in my roof from it. It is a tell. The heat coming to pick up.
It will. It literally will.
Dude, I am never gonna like. It is a Teledyne FLIR brand TG267 thermal imaging camera with MSX.
It's literally a thermal. It looks like you're playing Call of Duty, and you got that scope that you can see people like. You can see their heat.
FLIR FLIR TG267 on Amazon. But
it's called what? Say that again. Flare.
FLIR FLIR. The company's. Yeah, the company's Teledyne FLIR, but look up the TG267 is the one I have, and it has what's called MSX. It has a regular camera, it has a thermal camera, and you align the cameras, and you can see thermal, but you can also read people's shirts and text and shit. It's unbelievable.
Bro, these go all the way to $700.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the price of a Biak import, man.
I think it was like 600 or 5 something. I don't fucking know. Who cares? Don't tell my wife.
I told Chuck with the recent clutch that I just hatched, I'm gonna get one just so that I can.
This is great. This is some shit Socrates would have.
Right,
wait,
exactly.
Look up the TG267. That's the one I have. With
Chuck, we're not going to read specs
that's
right
it.
now.
That's it. Yeah, no, that's it. That's mine. How much is it?
It's $700. So okay, well, without shipping, it's $630.
I didn't pay that much, but it wasn't cheap.
Oh my god!
NJ, this thing is literally it's a thermal gun, right? Like, we just point the thing and it gives us a number. No, you see everything.
Yeah.
Listen, the nights that my whole family goes to bed and I had a rough day, and I'm just like, it's like 1 a.m. and I'm like a few deep, and I'm like, I go pee in the yard, and then I go get my gun, and then I find my pee with the freaking
right,
with the
literally. No, you could do that.
I'm right in up to God, I've done it.
Also, what kind of salary are you on, man? You must be making some good coin to be fucking dropping on a temp gun.
I mean, if you don't count the snakes, I got 2 jobs. You know what I mean?
It's true.
It deserves something nice. It's a tax write-off.
I mean, there you go. I guess
it's basically free. The government pays for it, right? Is that how tax write-offs work?
Yeah, exactly.
I will say this. I've had Dave D on. Dave D put me on the temp that him and John Irby use, like an actual, like, it's a lab proved, like, fucking actual probe. It's like a $500 probe, for like the exact accuracy. And I just think I don't know. I mean, I think you can't go wrong with stuff like that, but you want to talk about overkill, overthinking. I don't know, man. I think you're overdoing it on your gun a little bit.
With more than the gun. But the beautiful thing about Chuck is that, like, he thinks the detail that nobody is, because Chuck is up at 2 a.m, like
tapping his piss.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, he's
swear to
literally-
God.
the brain doesn't shut off for this guy. This guy is
wonder-
creating cameras in egg boxes that literally are speaking to his chondros, like begging them to drop any day now. Like the guy is thinking outside the box.
You got your chondros getting their horoscope read to them.
Exactly, right? That's why he gets them to breed.
Oh my gosh. No, but Chuck, okay, I mean, obviously you too, Lucas, being a keeper, you do know that one of the biggest problems people run into is overthinking things a little bit. You know what I mean? Kind of going back to where like you understand how simple it is to keep these things, but if you overthink things and if you overdo things, then that's where you run into disasters, right? Can we think of any examples right now? Any examples off the top of your head where people you feel like overdo something when keeping chondros or even breeding chondros? Whoever wants to go first.
I mean, I'll share from like my own experience, right? And again, not ashamed to share the mistakes that I've made, but I got a few chondros, right? And I decided to put them over Reptichip instead of over paper towel. And walked into one of my animals impacted with a piece of Reptichip, and I'm panicking. And fortunately, that next day, I got my vet on speed dial. He was going to come over and see what he could do. And unfortunately, I get notifications off my Wise camera at night. And so I look and I see the chondro is doing that backup thing, and the mouth is open and everything. And the chondro fortunately regurgitated the piece of Reptichip. But I mean, that changed my perspective in general for young chondros. An adult chondro with smaller pieces of chip, still can be problematic, right? And so, but when it comes to keeping a juvenile, until it's in that adult enclosure, I'm never going back to putting it over Reptichip.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's funny you said that. I just had somebody recently in my DMs ask me, like, how come nobody puts their baby chondros over?
That is why.
It's funny because, like, I always just say, well, because I just do what works for me, because simply like that's the best answer. Like I do what I do because it works and I don't want to switch it. And I always recommend that to anyone. But honestly, the first thing that I think of why I wouldn't want substrate for my neonate is because they could easily catch on to something or just swallow it and think, oh, this is something I can eat when they can't, and that's why going back to just a more simple setup in the beginning is ideal, especially when you're new at this, guys. Don't make your life more difficult. Okay, remember, oh my God, Lucas, remember when you got your first snake from Bill and you put it in that fucking focus cube? And I'm like, God damn it, Lucas.
It did great in there.
I know it did great in that, but I'm just saying, like,
why?
You were up against some other odds where it couldn't have gone great in there. Like, things could have definitely happened.
Right.
So why even risk it? But at the end of the day, I'm glad it worked, right? But you don't understand, and that's one scenario. Like, let's think about how people get. Like, you want to know something that I heard recently or earlier this year? Somebody spent their first $6,000 on a chondro, right? This chondro is not even in its OCC yet, and they wanted to put it in a bioactive. And I'm like, why? I'm like, why? One, they're like, well, like, oh, because I spend that much money. I want to be able to look at it. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, when it's 3 years old,
dude. But see what I'm saying? Like the whole like that kind of mindset right there is kind of what makes chondros not so commonly bred and worked with, because people just don't go the simple route to the point where at least it's established and doing well, Right.
And I think that it goes back to what we were saying earlier. And I was talking about like the feeding method, right? And you trying new things and everything, but there's some things that we do like they did in the 70s, 80s, 90s, keeping them. And there's a reason why they've stayed around for so long. It's not because we don't care about the animals. Well, it's not the same equation of the retic world won't advance with getting their massive retics out of 6-foot enclosures because they're selfish. The owners are. There's a reason why chondro people and breeders keep their young animals over paper towel and tubs, and it's because they thrive and they stay alive, right? And so there are some things that are like you should probably take from the people that have been doing this for a while and listen to them. Another mistake that I made off the bat, and I don't know why it didn't cross my mind, because my garage is probably 65-75% humidity year round.
Bastard.
But I was, I was overdoing it and overspraying it. I had an animal that started to have some discoloration on the scales after it shed. It was no longer there. I hit up Patrick because that's the animal that I got it from. And Patrick said, how often are you spraying it? I said 3 times a week. He said, stop spraying it. I stopped spraying it. Never happened again.
Yeah.
Right. So I think overspraying is another big thing that a lot of people do with these animals. They don't need to be wet.
They don't need to be wet. I agree.
There's a million things that people do wrong with these animals. My thing is leave it alone. Stop caring them to death is my personal opinion. These animals have been mistakes have been made since 1976 when they were first bred in the United States. So much knowledge has been gained, and there's so many things that are now quote unquote the standard with how to keep them simplistically, right? And my opinion is pick 1 or 2 people that are your mentors. Ask them how to keep this animal. Once you're keeping it like them, innovate. If you see an issue or you want to try something new, innovate with only positive theory. Make sure you've done all the research and you weigh the risk versus reward. Drastic times call for drastic measures. I don't know anyone that's ever put a baby chondro in a shot glass. I did.
What do you mean by that? What are you talking about? What?
He took a shot and he drank the baby snake.
I will never incubate a clutch ever again without 2 to 3 shot glasses that are sanitized inside my incubator. I had a baby come out of my first clutch a quarter of the way and was doing that jerky motion, and I didn't know what it was, and it died. It had its umbilical wrapped in a knot, and it died. And I said, how the hell could I have saved that animal? I watched it die. If you cut it out of the egg to either fix the umbilical cord, whatever, right? It's a calculated risk. Are you going to watch that animal die because you kind of know what's going on? Or are you going to cut it out? You're going to cut it out. But what are you going to do with it afterwards? You can't shove it back in the egg. So what I thought was, all right, how the hell do I get this thing back into another egg? So I was like, oh, I could use an Easter egg, but I can't like stand that up. It's light. I was like, holy shit, I'll use a shot glass. It's weighted. They can't knock it over. It's sterile because it's glass. And my Maniac clutch, I cut a yellow out. Brian Phillips owns the snake. I sent Brian Phillips pictures of his snake with a full yolk sac in a shot glass, and it just soaked up its yolk in an artificial egg. It was a shot glass with a couple drops of distilled water.
So you untangled it, and it was still attached to the yolk sac. You didn't.
No, it wasn't tangled at all. I thought it was tangled, so I was like, all right, am I going to watch this die, or what's the difference between that egg or a shot glass? I could pour the amniotic fluid into a shot glass, right? So I have pictures. It's in it. Do you want it? Like, you could put it on the screen. I will send you a picture of my snake in a WWF New York shot glass.
We need it. Yeah, we need to see this.
Two days of soaking up the yolk.
This is good info, to be honest. I mean, I'm just trying to picture, like, okay, so you come in and you saw the snake drooping its head out of the egg, and you knew something was up, and you thought it was tangled.
I thought so. Yeah. It looked exactly like previous clutch.
And you pulled it out. You pulled it out of the egg.
Cut it right out. Destroyed the egg. It wasn't tied up.
What did the sack look like?
It was large. It was like.
It wasn't dried up though. Like, it was still fresh. Like, it was still good.
The snake was fine. It would have been fine if I left it alone. But am I going to take that risk of leaving it alone when I can just make sure it's fine and then just put it in a sterile shot glass?
Okay,
with whiskey.
Okay, hold on, Chuck. So this snake could have just easily just stayed in the egg, absorbed the yolk, and just got out on its own. But you thought putting it in a shot glass would be less risky? I'm confused.
I couldn't see past the eggshell. I didn't know if it was tied in an umbilical cord. It was there for like 2 days. It wasn't. And I was like, that doesn't. It was doing that thing where it was laying its head on the side of the egg crate.
Yeah, exhausted. It was exhausted.
No, I mean, maybe there was something else that I actually saved it from, but I don't think so. I think that I just misread something. But the thing is, calculated risk, right? What do I have to lose? I'll just put it in a shot glass. It'll be fine. And
a snake's life? That's what you got to lose.
No, well, if I leave it in there, what if it is tied on umbilical cord? That's a death sentence.
Doc puts them in a deli cup. I mean, it's kind of like,
same thing, just not as fancy.
I feel like you're just a fucking alcoholic, to be honest. No, I mean, listen, this is the beauty about shows like this and shows that you guys do. Like, this is all information that could possibly help somebody. And you can't listen, Chuck, if that worked for you, who's anyone to turn their back on something that could help them out like that? So, but Chuck, you have so many weird stories. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like,
I'm a weird fucking dude.
I love,
yeah,
I
I'm
love
not
you.
normal.
Chuck, you have a lot more than you think to bring to the table. I hope you know that. Okay.
I love you, bro. I love everybody in the community, man. I have so much fun at Bill's house. God.
Yeah, you want to talk about a time? Let's talk about the mayor's party, man. That was
Oh my God.
much fun, bro. That was literally one of the best times. And again, thank you to Bill and Kim for throwing such an awesome annual event. It's annual now, but I'm just saying, like, it's that I would say it's one of the best parties ever. There were so many Chondro heads there.
Oh yeah.
And I gotta say, one of the best moments, even though it was ruined by a fucking drunk guy, but one of the best moments that night was, going to the side and seeing Chuck and Trav talking. I thought that was fucking awesome, because at the end of the day, this world, life is too short, and I know you have history with the Chondro Barroom. I give so much credit to the Chondro Barroom because they do their thing and they bring fucking awesome guests to the table. And you are basically, you do have a history with them, but obviously it's led to where you're doing now with Lucas. And I definitely feel like you're meant to be on a podcast, Chuck, because you're right. You're a weird dude, but you have awesome information and awesome fucking basically documentation to get to the people, which is important because we're not in the 80s. We're not in the 90s, bro. There are things where people have to start thinking outside the box here,
Yeah, it's the most progressive species to keep and breed.
Yeah.
This is an explosion of popularity, an explosion of people coming into it and trying to figure it out. And I really do feel like we're at like a tipping point where there's going to be a breakout of all these new breeders. We've been seeing it in the last 2 years of people coming up with new shit. I mean, chicken gizzards are new.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that I know of has ever put a snake in a shot glass. Not that it's like
I guess
a genius idea, but like
you could have that one, Chuck.
I sent you the picture if you put it on the screen. It's in me and Lucas's group chat. But yeah, shout out to the Condro Barroom guys. I mean, I left that show. I was really busy with my second career and stuff like that. I have a plan where I just want to be financially successful and I want my kids to really be set. I think this world's a terrible place to be raising a child right now. And I don't know how my little girls are ever going to be able to afford a house. So I'm just trying to do everything I can to make sure they never have to worry about money or never have to be, struggling. But I forget where I was going with it, but put that shot glass up on the screen.
It's not here. Are you sure? Are you sure it's sent? Oh, there it is now. Oh, yeah. Wow. Look at this. What the hell, Chuck? Oh,
and that snake is at Brian Phillips' house, is crushing meals, good poops, full sheds. It's amazing.
You ready for a treat? This is something else. I'm not gonna lie. It looks so cute in there too. Oh my God. Look, is that a WWF shot glass?
Yeah, dude. Yes, nostalgic. WWF New York. Like I got that in like 7th grade.
Dude, that is epic. So, okay, I could totally see it. That's a fresh yolk sack right there for sure.
It's huge.
It's a big boy. Yeah, it's a big ass yolk sack.
Wow. Okay. So, how long was it in there for?
So that's not the baby crawling out. That's the only other yellow sibling that survived behind it. Because I had 3 yellows. 1 died full term. Is the only one with a full dorsal, of course. And it was in there for like a day and a half, 2 days. And that yolk sack was pretty much. I think it dropped it. It was like the size of a pea. But all those animals were unbelievable feeders other than 2401. That's the one that took like 30 days to shed. And I gave it a couple rat's tails and it just turned on. But
Chuck, I feel like a complete asshole. I'm just now remembering like this was probably a year ago or something. And you asked for sim containers and I never sent them to you.
That's correct. You never sent them to me. Yeah. I had to make it out of a Cambro.
Okay, so because I wanted to ask you like how the sim's working, but you're not using sim containers. You had to get your own. Like, can we talk about what you use to incubate your eggs right now? I'm right now saying it live. I am going to send you sim containers for sure, 100%.
I appreciate it. Thank you. You don't have to, but I appreciate it.
Let's talk about what you used and what's been working for you.
So I'm using a Cambro. What? Lucas, shut the fuck up! And
I'm thinking right now in my head. In my head, I'm picturing Chuck at 2 a.m. like, well, since MJ didn't fucking send me the camera, like I gotta think of like what else to do.
No, because you're sitting here like, oh, Chuck's gonna give us the SKU
No,
number. Just wait.
No, I'm excited for it. I'm surprised you don't have one on deck behind you.
So my incubation box, which I also convert into a hatch box, so I put my eggs into, is a Cambro 1/2 size, 6 inches tall. It has a travel lid, which is meant to seal and transport liquids, so it can be completely turned upside down. I've made some alterations. Me and my buddy Mike Majoros from Coloring Outside the Lines have completely like mimicked each other. I made the original, he bought it, and then converted it the way I did and tweaked it a little bit. So now what I'm doing is, fuck you, Lucas. I have 11 64ths drill bit holes, one on each side that is open during incubation. This substrate is Orbeez, Chill Chondros green.
Okay.
Then I have
Nice.
egg crate laid across. I have egg crate on PVC legs above that. It is not sealed all the way. I kind of leave the lid up just a tiny bit. I do have a humidified chamber in my incubator. All 4 of those holes are rocking and rolling from day one on the last clutch with some alterations that Mike helped me make. And I'm getting 0 condensation until like day 35. Day 36, I think, is when I open the box.
And are you noticing denting around those days, or like when are you starting to get the denting in the eggs?
I was getting denting in all the eggs right around like late 30s, early 40s, depending on the clutch.
Right.
But I'm running 87 flat until day 40, and I like to drop gradually a 0.5 to 1 degree over like 5 days, like 0.2 or something like that. But because this last clutch was so large and they were all crammed in that box, I took Socrates' advice from when he had that really big clutch out of Rainbow Dash.
30 or 29 or something like that. 32 eggs, but then 29
30.
went the distance.
Yeah. So
by the way, all 29 ate on the first try.
Oh, geez, what a blessing.
ace. No, he's got it dialed in. Sock is the man.
Yeah, he's the
So what I did with my last clutch with the 19 eggs is 87 degrees all the way through until day 40. And on day 40, I dropped them to 86. And I just let it rock and roll just because there were so many of them. And the condensation was starting to build up and all that. So,
yeah, going back to heat being a crucial factor, man. I mean, a lot of people like myself had so much experience getting chondros to go to the day 52 mark, and they're just completely formed dead in the egg. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of things I didn't do that I do now, right? First and foremost, you should have a pretty good humidity ambient inside your incubator, first and foremost, because I didn't worry about that. And I remember even thinking to myself, like, dude, my humidity is like 30 in my incubator. But I thought to myself, why does it matter? Because it's 100 in the egg box. And the egg box I had 0 air holes. 0. Okay. So 2 things. I think the temperature for sure is a huge factor, but those fucking air holes, man. I did for the first time. No, I would say with fish, with the success I had, and mind you, this is the reason why I thought this is because I think Lucas, obviously, you know about fish, but you know about my first chondro that I produced this year, Chuck, that I named Fish. Like, do you know how I got that egg?
I don't. I know. I know there was a clutch, and then that was a lone survivor.
So yeah, remember my 2 slug out clutches?
Mm-hmm.
I had 1 egg that was good from one of those clutches, and that was one that I put in the incubator, and I had all these people telling me like, bro, why'd you do that? Throw that fucking egg away. That thing's done. I'm like, let me just see, right? And since it was 1 egg and I didn't think anything of it, I was like, well, this is the time to see if the air holes is going to work or whatever. And that's when I finally wrote out incubating a chondro egg with having air holes the entire time. And mind you, I didn't have full blown air holes, but it was like I had 1 on each side that was exposed. The crazy thing about sim containers, though, even though the lid's shut, it's not fully sealed shut. It's shut, but there's a tiny bit of like fluctuation. You know what I mean? So I think that ventilation is important, especially day 40, bro. Once we talk about the heat, the eggs start to heat up. If you don't have some sort of airflow going on in there, and for sure, if you don't bring those temps down to something that's reasonable for you, you're not gonna have success. You're gonna have a bunch of full term dead fucking chondro eggs in babies in the eggs for sure. 100%.
For sure. I know a lot of the stuff I do is really unconventional, and it's almost. I'm not embarrassed to talk about it out
No, you
loud,
shouldn't. No, hell no. Don't be embarrassed.
but sometimes I'm a little reluctant.
You know how many people wish they could even get a chondro clutch, bro? Like this isn't something. As much as we say it's simple, there are people out there who've tried years to get this down and they have failed, bro. So I would not don't be ashamed. You know how many people have been like thankful for the failures I've mentioned live, and even to the Patreon family and to my closest friends, bro. Like this kind of stuff helps people. It really does.
Yeah,
things.
There's a few people I'm not going to mention, but there's a few people in the community that make some crazy accusations about what they've done and what they tried. I don't want to be in that group. The only reason I do have enough balls to say it and tell you guys about the shot glass and the super glue and the friggin' whatever else crazy shit I do is only because I want to just share with people and just let them know, like, you can do like shit if you apply positive theory, anything is possible. And the only way we're ever going to evolve in this community is by trying new things. I just don't want to be that weirdo. Like, hey, that guy's only got like 3 clutches under his belt and he's talking some weird ass shit with a shot glass. Like, I don't want to be that guy that people are like, man, that guy's freaking weird. Like that guy's nuts. But I mean, if you turn your logo into a shot glass, I'm going to be very upset. It's like the worm in the bottom of the tequila bottle. If you didn't make it, just take a shot with the Chondro in it. But I try different things. I don't know. I don't do anything that would severely jeopardize a healthy animal for some crazy experiment. But drastic times call for drastic measures. You just gotta, I just try to figure it out. I'm just always thinking. Like I eat, sleep, and breathe this shit. This is like my favorite thing to do. Like when I started this, this was. It's a business. That's what I started this whole thing off of. And now it's like, dude, this is my favorite thing to do. I don't give a shit about the money. Like, this is so much fun. Like, I made so many new friends. Like my Chondro friends are some of my best friends. And some of them I've never met in person. And I just like, this is the coolest shit. Like I hate technology, but the internet and like podcasts and text messages and this is amazing. Like, it's a whole new world and I'm a part of it. And like, I just try to do my best to like, just implant myself in the community and become friends with everyone. It's just like, everything's like coming to fruition now. And it's like, dude, this is the best shit ever. This is the best time of my life. I love being 35. But you see what I'm saying? Like, do you understand that kind of excitement that you have like in you, right, Chuck? And I don't know about you, Lucas or Chuck, but I love that kid feeling. Like, I love that little bit of excitement. Like, you know how many motherfuckers are our age that just don't get excited for shit? Like, they're just like, they may like sports, they may like, but bro, like what we like and what we love is a special thing. It really is.
It's weird.
It makes us feel so young and exciting. And if you don't have this feeling and you've been keeping chondros for a handful of years, then you should really consider not keeping chondros, because keeping chondros should make you feel this way. Am I right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
100%. If I didn't love them, I would not be in it anymore, because they kick you in the balls.
Yeah, we got Germany in the house, by the way. Shout out to Germany, man. Shout out to all the European chondro keepers. Man, let's talk about that, guys. First and foremost, like, we have amazing keepers in Australia, right? We have amazing keepers in UK. Shout out to Sal.
Shout out to Sal.
You want to talk about one of the best people in the chondro community? Sal.
My brother.
My brother.
Bruv. I love him, bro.
Bruv. We got to go to Bucky's.
Right.
I love him. That's smashing, bruv. I love you, man.
Get locked in. Oh, man.
I love this.
He has so many one-liners. I love it. But like, what I'm saying is, like, it's crazy is like even the ball python game, they have breeders all over the world, right? But the chondro game, bro, like, we really got to look and give props to these fools who are breeding shit in different countries. You know what I mean? Like, think about Pedro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love Pedro.
Dude, Pedro's killing it.
Dude, Pedro might get out. Is that sad?
That's heartbreaking.
Oh, because I was trying to get his ass back on the show, and he's like, "MJ, I might be leaving." I'm like, "What do you mean leaving? Like, you know,
you moving here?"
No, yeah. What do you mean?
Like,
you're gonna come here? He's like, "Nah, yeah. I think I might be getting out of the game." I'm like, "Shut." I unread his message. I went back to doing what I was doing. I was like, "Yeah, fuck, I don't believe you," because I can't think of the chondro game without Pedro. You know what I mean? Like, I legit look up to that guy. You know what I mean? Man, all because of Forrest. Like, Forrest was the one who introduced me to Pedro, but to understand like the Mosaic line and what he's done,
Mosaic
in his
line is
country,
insane.
bro, legendary shit, you know.
Yeah.
But what I'm
Dude,
getting
shout,
at,
shout out to Alex Warren too. Like he let me sleep
AW.
on his couch. Like I met it. I never even knew who he was, and I'm sleeping on his couch for 4 hours after Bill's party next to an AR-15 hanging on the wall.
Alex might be one of my favorite Texans of all time.
Dude, I saw Alex last
I love
weekend, and we were just talking about Craigslist animals.
He just came up on one.
Exactly.
He's like, MJ, look at this CL
Yeah,
pickup. I'm like,
dude.
I'm like, what are you doing, Alex?
Did
Grow
you,
up.
you saw that blue dorsal on it, Chuck?
Yeah.
Bro, between Alex and Mike Majoros, because they're them two and Randy, but Randy sent me the rest of his green tree, so he was kind of out of it. But as far as like, in the community, those are probably 3 of my best friends. Yeah. But Alex and Mike, every single time we're in a group chat, oh, look at this Condro I just picked off Craigslist. I was like, what did you do? Oh, I gave him I gave him what was left in my Pringles bag, and they gave it. Like, come on, bro. Like, there's nothing in Jersey. I
gave him a Phoenix Reptiles hoodie.
Well, Chuck, we'll do an intro
I changed
episode.
his oil. He gave me a Biak.
I groomed his dog.
Yeah, exactly. I cut his poodle. He gave me a friggin' designer. Like, what?
I took his midget daughter out on a date.
Come on, man. Like, I'm struggling over here.
I had to.
All I got is me and Gary. Me and Gary, I think, are the only 2 breeders that are active that I know in New Jersey. If there's anyone else, like, correct me, but I don't think there's anyone else. I've been trying to find other breeders, but I don't think there's anyone else in Jersey.
If you want to think potential wise, like for the future of this game, right? And I think all of us have great potential. It's like why I respect what you guys are doing so much. But Alex Warren, as close as he is to fucking Bill Stiegel, and we all know Bill ain't going to be doing this forever, right? But man, like Alex has the potential of working with some of the best projects that have ever been put out in the game. You know, like if we think like in the future, like, oh man.
He's set up for success, man. He's got good animals.
He's got an unbelievable collection, and he's got a good knowledge. He's patient. He's a realist. He doesn't care him to death. Like he understands, like, he understands the animals. He really does. He knows what he's doing.
So let's talk about like the scenario of, for instance, adding something into something that you've been raising and taking care of for so many years. Like obviously the goal is to have something so sick where it's closed off. I think in a perfect world, after so many years doing this, I want to have such potent stuff where I have no interest in adding anything else. Like it's closed off, right? But theoretically, I mean, we have a lot to work for right now. So what would it take for something new to come into the mix that isn't United States captive born and bred? Whoever wants to go first.
Well, like designer or like a green tree.
Green tree python, right? So like, let's talk about something that, because normally, obviously, you guys are. I mean, if I got what you want, okay, you guys will take it. It's United States captive born and bred. But let's talk about like, okay, obviously, Alex, he's not an idiot, but holy shit, Craigslist snake, really, Alex? But that's a beautiful snake. What would it take for one of you guys? Like obviously, there could be that perfect import out there that you guys would fucking want, but what would it take? Like, what would it that you guys would want to add into your collection if it wasn't United States captive born and bred?
Glazer line.
Ooh,
I was gonna say Glazer, and I'm not.
That's locality.
No. It would be locality. I've just fallen in love with Tamikas.
Oof.
I mean, every single one. I've never seen a yellow Tamika, and every single red is just.
I mean, me and Lucas know firsthand, freak of nature,
dude.
bro.
Yeah,
those animals that you guys have, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
No, it doesn't. I try to convince you. You know what? I'll name mine Algae, since MJ didn't want to.
There you go.
They're sick.
I just hate people telling me what to do, Lucas. That's it. You know what I mean?
You
Algae's actually not a bad name if you think about it.
What do you mean, bro? I have 3-year-old telling me what I'm naming my badass snake that I wanted to name Vader.
He's not there. He's not there yet. Once his son gets about 2.5, he's going to be told what to do all the time.
My most badass snake is now named Pumpkin Spice, bro.
And dude, if you look at Fluttershy and what are all the crazy names Sock has, you know his daughter named him all those snakes, right?
Yeah, awesome. I love it, dude. That's exactly what it's all about. Like, I mean, I fucking love sharing it with my kids. And MJ, you're a great fucking dad, dude. Like, thanks, Leo's like all over the trap. Lucas, I got to start our podcasts at 2:30 a.m. my time.
Up.
Yeah, because he He's always putting his daughter to bed because he's a good dad. Like, it's just, we just work around our kids, man. But like, include our kids is awesome. Like, all three of us have videos of our kids holding all of our animals.
Yeah, I just took a new one yesterday. It's amazing.
I was so wrong when I started, when I said this was going to be a business. Like, I was, it's enjoying it with my kids and kicking it with you guys and seeing the amount of support that I get in my inbox from people. Like, I'll get like a great compliment from somebody, and MJ and you guys probably both have had this way before me. Just saying something really positive, really nice. Like, hey, Chuck, I've been really following you for so many years. I'm like, I have no idea who you are, but now I want to be your friend. Like, I really respect the fact that, like, I really appreciate that you care enough to watch what I'm doing with my collection and really enjoy my animals, because I'm just enjoying it here. I'm doing what I want to do. And to see other people enjoy doing what I want to do is like, it's indescribable.
I need to find that feeling back. I lost that feeling where, like, when somebody comes and gives me props, like, where I'm like, not that I don't appreciate it, but I feel like some people just have an agenda when they come out and approach me sometimes. Right. Like, I just always feel like some of the love is coming from a genuine place because of the experience I've had. Right. But at the end of the day, like, you can't do nothing about that. Like, I mean, for someone to take the time out of their day to come message you to let you know what you do for them, it is the best feeling. It's why I go so hard on the podcast, because when there was times where I thought nobody was fucking with me, or when I thought there was times where nobody wanted to watch my show, I was getting all this information in my DMs and all this like feedback where I'm like, dude, these people they like it. So fuck with what anybody else says. Like, let's look at the positive side of things. And so that's good, Chuck. I mean, and obviously, Lucas, you have quite the, I mean, dude, like you have your feet cemented with the retic world, you know what I mean? And have gotten respect from people in that community, and now branching off. Like, I mean, don't you feel like learning something brand new is kind of what makes everything come together, Lucas? Like, you know, it's kind of like you're not getting complacent at all. Like, right? Yeah. Like, because even though retics can become pretty like set in stone where it's easy. Like, come on, retics it's a fun project because how easy it is in a sense. Like,
yeah, I mean, once you understand how to breed retics, it's clockwork. Right. And the beautiful thing about retics is they very rarely give you issues with eating, right? But yeah, and I mean, it's coming into the chondro world, right? And this year is going to be my first pairing.
Wow.
And
Arus?
Yeah. Woo. Yeah, I'm excited for it. And I'm expecting failure, but I'm excited for it. Like, I'm excited for it, right? Yeah. Like,
failure gets you to the next step.
You got to learn through trial and error at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, over the last year, I mean, I branched from solely retics to, you know, I've gone the hardest with the chondros, but I mean, I have Morelli, I have carpets. I just for shits and giggles with Patrick, I got a pair of bull snakes, and
those are so sick,
dude. They're awesome. And so when you get to learn something new, I think that, like, you know, I don't think there's anything. As a matter of fact, I think it's from a business perspective, right? I think having a niche is important, and can help you with marketing yourself in a certain way. But really, like, I've learned over the last year and a half of getting new species, you are going to be a way better reptile keeper and a way better snake keeper when you bring in species and you understand how to do things that one species will teach you that you can apply to the other species you keep that you never would have learned if you only kept one animal. And I'm not knocking anybody who only wants to keep one species, but that's just kind of like what my experience has been. It's been great getting into the chondro community. Even here, listen to you two talking about breeding while I'm kind of just sitting back and I don't have the experience. I'm taking it all in. Like, I never stop. I never want to stop being a student.
I mean, dude, listen, we all start from level 1, right? Or level 0, I could say, right? But I asked you before this show started, like, would you ever start this chondro podcast by yourself? And what I meant by that was not really being camera shy solo, but more like asking questions when you've never actually like have failures. You don't actually have things that you're trying to connect the puzzles with. And mind you, listen, we all start from somewhere, but I would have never started this podcast unfiltered if it wasn't for Forrest.
Right.
You know, like, Forrest had a game plan. Forrest knew the best. I mean, I met Marshall, I met Bill, I met the best fucking friends I have in this game. I met all through Forrest. But I would have never started a podcast if it wasn't for Forrest. Forrest was like, you know, how Chuck is to you. That's what Forrest was to me, in a sense.
Right.
Forrest had a lot of failures to talk about, and I learned about all of them, bro. And I'm very thankful for that. But I would have never ever started a podcast with the amount of experience I had in 2019. There's no way. But what made me excited was I had someone with me who was considered one of my best friends who had decades of experience.
Right.
And that right there I bounced off of, which I thought made everything what it is today. Right. And listen, I don't want to knock anybody. You know, at the end of the day, man, I want to give props to anyone out there who's putting effort, putting reptile content out there. I just feel like I've taken this so seriously where I feel like when someone thinks they could just go on a live and spew shit out when they're not actually coming from a fucking place of experience, you know, I don't know. I want to stop taking that kind of shit personal because it has no effect on my show, but I don't want people who I care about coming into this the right way, getting fed information that just isn't the right information. But guess what? I can't do nothing about that. I'm sorry. It is what it is. If you choose to take information from someone who you're not betting, and I say this all the time, you want to get mentored, how about you do research on your mentor? And this could even go back to what we were talking about earlier, right? Find a mentor, but are you wanting to get mentored from somebody who has a completely different weather demographic than you? Like really, let's think about who you're getting information from. Is it going to help your situation? Like, there's just a lot of things to look into when it comes to getting advice, you know, because everyone can make themselves seem like a pro. Okay. There's people who fucking literally outline my podcast now and they present it like they've been doing it for a long time. They haven't. All right. Fucking Timus. I call them Timus. All right. But at the end of the day, if you're not vetting the people you're getting advice from and you're fucking feeding your emerald tree boa mice because you heard on a podcast that it's not smart to feed emerald tree boas fucking rats, that's your fault. You are dumb. Sorry. But seriously, I don't give a fuck. All right. You've been underfeeding your emerald tree boa for 3 years. That's your fault.
I love every episode. There's that one box that MJ gets on and I look forward to it. And that was it. And it was great.
Oh man, bro. I don't know. Listen, but listen, somebody also told me because I went on a rant and when don't I go on rants, but I went on this rant one time about how many ball python people I see coming into the game. And the guy said to me, well, weren't you a ball python person at one point? And you're right. I was, right. But then I think about the amount of stuff I have in my freezer. I think about all the fucking licks I took, all the shots to the gnats, bro. Like, you want to talk about balls of steel, motherfucker? Like, are you prepared to get kicked in the balls as much as I've been kicked? That's the only message I give to those people. That's it. Because guess what? It's not for the faint at heart. If you're a sensitive little fucking noodle keeper, if you want to keep something and put it in the bathtub or whatever, bro, it's not going to be chondros. I'll tell you that much. This is not for the faint at heart.
You want to feed it outside of its enclosure?
Well, hold on. It depends. If you have a picky neo, that might actually be a good.
Okay, I'm talking about adults here, but yeah, I know the paper bag thing. I get it. Like, there's a lot of ways to get a established neo to eat. You know, the whole like take it on a drive and then bring it back.
But Lucas, Chuck, I think even myself, we've all been lucky to get information from really good, solid people.
Blessed.
And very blessed. And Chuck, like, that's why at first I didn't know what our relationship would turn into when I first met you. But when I saw that you were getting info from Socrates and when I saw you just kind of sticking it out, and that's the biggest thing, man. Like, maybe if we first meet, I might not respect you as much in the beginning. But if you show me that you're sticking some shit out and you're really meant to be here for the long run, I will come around and I will fuck with you. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of fucking phony L7 weenies that are pretending to be in this for the long run and they're really not. Okay, hence the people selling their racks right now. I'm just saying, bro, I want people who are in this for the fucking long run. Because like Chuck said, like you know this as well, Lucas, this is the best time of our life right now. This is a beautiful world to be in. You know what I mean?
It's amazing. Yeah, we're producing animals that are people's dream animals, and we have multiples of them. And the best part about making them is when, like, everyone I've sold a snake to, I randomly text them. Like, I'm like a helicopter parent. I'm like, hey, how's the baby doing? Send me a picture. And they're like, oh, hey, how you doing? I'm like, yeah, like I'm here to check in. Like, is it good? Like, it's not just a baby that I made and sent out to somebody. I made that life, and that person gave me a vote of confidence by investing in one of my animals. I want to make sure they have the best experience possible, because that's my job. Once you buy an animal from me, that's my job. Like,
good luck losing me.
Well, I mean, dude, that's the full circle, right? Like that's where my goals are coming in almost there, where like once I finally produce a chondro and then I have one of my chondros in Lucas's collection or a good buddy of mine's collection, like that's what I want to see someday, because we all like Lucas won't forget getting his Bill Stiegel fucking snake. What was one of your first big designers that you ever got, Chuck, that you'll never forget?
I have all localities.
Okay, your first what's the first locality that do you remember that first snake that you got that changed everything?
Yeah, my first animal, I retired him as a breeder, but I got him from Garrett Meyer from Royal Constrictor Designs.
Did that animal come in like pretty well established and did like no issues, or how was that animal, Chuck?
Yeah, it was mature. It was a 2016 male, and I got it in 2019. I think it was 3.5 years old when I got him, and he's definitely a much smaller animal, and he's not the most impressive phenotypically. He's just a pretty much a plain green snake with some blue wash like in the sun. So realistically, it just looks like a regular green snake. But I love that snake. My kids have held that snake on the couch and carried it around the house, and I would definitely not recommend that you heavily handle your animals, but my little girls are, I answer to them. So when they say they want to hold a snake, they're going to hold the snake.
Yeah.
They're not hurting it or anything. I'm supervising them, but sorry, Elmo, you're the girl's pet, pal.
I just know one thing, you guys know in this community, in any community, people talk. Good or bad, people always talk. And what I want people to talk about when they get a snake from me is how good of an eater it was. That's all I care about. Mm-hmm. All I want is somebody to get a chondro from me, and the first thing they tell somebody is like, dude, this thing's a fucking beast. Okay? Because I mean that by doing that, like if you have a rap sheet of selling neonates that all eat like monsters, what does that tell you? You took your fucking time establishing this thing. That means this snake was sold after 20, 30 fucking meals. All right? And I get it. I know people are super comfortable selling neos after, 10 meals, 12 meals. I can tell you right now, that would not be my game plan. Actually, the longer, the better for me. And I'm telling you that right now. And that's just something that I want to stick with. I don't know, because we all know things could switch with shipping. Things could happen. But Gary Scavino, Bill Stiegel, Mark Hager, shout out to Mark Hager. Okay. Joey Westgate. I'm naming individuals who's all sold me animals that eat like fucking monsters, man. And I respect that so much. I respect that so much. Okay. And I've had other chondros from people, Patrick Holmes, by the way, also monster eaters, even though he has one BIAC that does not like black mice. And I don't blame it, but that's kind of weird, bro. Might need to look into that. I'm just kidding. But other than that, I'm just saying, bro, like that's like, we respect the people we respect because the work they do by the chondros. Yeah, and the last thing I want to do, man, because let's think about this, guys. 5, 6, 7, 10 years goes, you're the perfect chondro keeper. But let's say that one incident happens where you send a fucked up chondro. Guess what happens to your name? It's like wrinkling a perfect picture.
That's what my old man always taught me. You got one fucking name, son.
You got one fucking name. And I know I've done some rocky things on this show, but I'll tell you one thing. You cannot talk shit about the animals I produced. You cannot talk shit about the animals I sent to people, because I take that very, very seriously. So I take that shit to heart. Even my ball pythons, bro, monsters. Like the quality, all I want to hear about from the customer is how great the quality was. And that right there is like music to my ears. That's my biggest fucking thing I want in this.
You could talk all that, MJ, but you know what that means? Like, fuck everything else you just said. You know what that means? Animals come first.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Have fun with it, and the success, business wise, financially, whatever the fuck your goal is in the end, that it's a side effect of having fun. When you have fun with it, you love it, and you're good at it because you love it, and you love it because you're good at it. Everything else is just a side effect, and all the other side effects are just good. Other than when you gain a certain level of success, you got some people that hate on you.
Like guys, I had a legit moment this morning. Like I woke up, like it wasn't mentally. I felt a little bit off this morning, and I don't know what it was, but I'm so sick of thinking about money and ball pythons, And at the end of the day, like when it comes to a day where I have to do ball python chores, man, unless it's the babies I'm looking at, I don't get excited about breeding ball pythons, because I know you're gonna have to worry about selling these things, and I know, and exactly like Chuck said, man, like that money stuff's important, but it's better when it comes secondhand. It's better when it's not the first thing on your mind and it's something that you doing it for.
Mhm.
And it sucks, but I'm doing ball pythons for the money. And dude, and obviously I kind of like, once I became level-headed throughout the day, I realized how much the ball python community, everything has done for me, this channel. Like, it's a huge fucking hub. Like, that's how I get a bunch of fresh meat. It's all coming from ball python people. So in a perfect world, like, I can't just say fuck ball pythons, right? But I need to find that happy medium again where I'm working with ball pythons for the right reason, not because I need to sell and make money. And that it's just getting old, you know, because at the end of the day, I'm like, what would my life be if I didn't have these fucking racks? You know what I mean? Because, you know, and I bought my ball pythons do great in racks. But when I come to this side of the room and I'm staring at enclosures, it just doesn't feel the same when I go on that side of the room because everything's in racks. You know what I'm saying?
That's because the side of that room could be more chondro enclosures.
It could be, exactly. And why not? Bro,
you know what?
Go ahead, Chuck.
You know what it is, for lack of better words, because I really feel like, MJ, I think me and you are very similar. Like, I think we're different from Lucas, and not to push you out of the group.
Different from Lucas. Lucas is an old soul. I'll tell you that.
Lucas
got
is
his shit together. Where'd he go?
He got mad at us. Lucas is the type of guy that's like gets like featured on a magazine cover for Man of the Year.
No, shut up.
Like, and me and you were like out of the top 50 men of the year, me and you were like tied for 50th as like love him or hate him, and that's like because that's just how we are. It's our personalities.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
But I think what it is, MJ, is because we're so similar. It really, for lack of better words, and don't take this as an insult, as I think me and you were maybe growing up in our 30s.
Oh, big time, bro. People, listen, I'm not ashamed of saying that, but if you go back to some of the original Trap Talk podcasts, dude, I probably just started growing up the last 2 years for sure. I was a fucking, and I could still be wild, but I'm just saying, I had no maturing in my game plan at all the first few years doing this. But it wasn't until I started meeting people, mind you, like, look at my circle, look at the people I hang out with. I don't want to be that fucking off the wall guy when all my homies are fucking, they got their head on straight and they got fucking careers and all this other, you know, it comes to a point where you got to grow up. You got to figure your shit out and you got to grow up. And I got to say the biggest motivation I have is my wife and my kid. And, you know, like, you know, once my kid gets old enough to realize, you know, I got to tell you, one thing I love about my dad, but I don't love about my dad is I'm a spitting image of my dad. Like, me and my dad were best friends, but I saw too much at too young. You know what I mean? Like, and my dad almost looked at like, oh, a mini version of me is fucking cool. I love myself, but I don't want a mini version of myself. I really don't. Like, I want like maybe a little custom, but more like Lily versus me and Leo, like a little, like, you know, I don't know. But you're right.
At least a better version of me.
Your kids are watching you, and I think that's what makes you change a little bit. And you know that the time's coming where they're going to figure out who you really are when they reach a certain age. So, are you going to mature and turn into a better person? Or are you going to keep on being that wild son of a bitch that you were your entire life? And that's kind of was the turning point of my life. Is I grew up when I had, you know, my little girls, and I don't want them to look at me who I was when I was in my early 20s. Not that I was a bad person, but I was a bit more wild than what I am. I get loose every now and then, like at the marriage parties.
You were clearing the chamber.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was great. That was
clearing the chamber.
But no, just to what you said though, Chuck, man, I don't know about you, but I have so many things to master maturity wise. You know what I mean? Like the list is long and I'm working on that list, but I feel like sometimes I like go to the next one without even like, bro, you didn't master this yet. And you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like the maturity thing, I got to delegate it. You know what I mean? All I know is at the end of the day, I just want to be a nicer person. I really do. If you want to talk about maturity, I want to be mature enough where like, fuck it. Somebody I helped out is now doing a show the exact same time as me. Good for them. You know what I mean? I don't want to look at it as a diss because I do feel like I do get dissed in some ways. Like I feel like people literally go out of the way. Like I feel like they're trying to fucking diss me, but I want to stop thinking like that. I really do. And I feel like that's like my next biggest topic of maturity I want to master is like, stop giving a fuck about people who do copy me. Who gives a fuck? Like it still doesn't matter to what I'm doing. It doesn't matter to the sponsors I have. to the support I have. It doesn't matter at all. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I still have a long ways to go. Fucking Lucas, man of the year. I don't know what to do.
Long, tan, and handsome. Everybody loves Lucas.
You know, it'll probably take me 10 years to get my first chondro clutch. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's a different kind of maturity. We're talking. Hey, fellas, 2 hours went by too quick. And I do want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for everything that you guys do. Chuck, thank you for coming through for Lucas. Because I got to say, nothing feels better than having a fucking a co-host you can rely on, man. When you can rely on somebody to come through and give you a good-ass show, it means a lot. And so I'm just speaking for Lucas right now, where I'm giving you props on that, Chuck. And then Lucas, man, you're running the ship over what you're doing with Nate. So keep doing your thing, bro. I really appreciate your guys' work ethic, but mainly, man, I appreciate the passion I see from both of you guys. So
appreciate that.
Thanks,
man.
bro. I appreciate your friendship. I truly do. Both of you.
Yeah,
absolutely. And thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to hang out with you guys again. Trying to think. Okay, yeah. So Chuck, Chill Chondros on Instagram. That's the best place to follow you, right?
Yeah. I'm not really on Facebook. I post every now and then when I have eggs or a clutch, which is only been 3 times. But that's really when I only post to the Facebook groups.
And then Lucas, Lab Exotics, right?
Yeah, Lab Exotics and Condro Lounge for the podcast.
Why don't you mention how many shows you got a week right now? Why don't you get
so right now it's 2, and we're in the talks to getting a Colubrid show out.
Ooh,
which I am not going to be co-hosting. I got 2. Yeah, not going to be co-hosting.
Respect for you on that one. You know what I mean? Like I got my Colubrid show of the week, but I'm not in it because not my department. God bless. I tried it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So all right, cool. And then also I don't know what I'm thinking of. Well, listen, guys, give it up, please. It's a wrap for Chuck and Lucas, the Condro Lounge, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you so much. Have a good night.
Thanks, MJ. Appreciate it, buddy.
Bye, guys. Whew, good episode. Appreciate it. A lot of good information and excited, to have this episode in the chamber here for a lot of you people looking into chondros, because there's just a fucking tunnel of information that you can get sucked into. And some of that tunnel, you can't see your way out of it sometimes. So listen, take your time first and foremost. Please, I cannot stress this enough. Make sure you vet the people who are giving information on podcasts. If you are hearing somebody talking about breeding or anything, look into the person talking, all right? That's all I got to say. And thank you so much again. The live chats, you guys are beautiful tonight. And if you're not already, please hit that subscribe button. I have 47% of the people who watch this not subscribed. So let's get that up, please. I really appreciate it. But it's a wrap. Episode 558 in the books. Have a good night. I'm out. Cheers.